Tonight, the spotlight shines on Woodbine Mohawk Park for one of the most electrifying nights in harness racing. A double feature of speed, power, and pure heart. First up, the Trotting Elite takes center stage in the Maple Leaf Trot, a crown jewel for aged trotters.
And it's Crazy Wow to the front, scooting away to a 3-length lead in deep stretch. It's the Maple Leaf Trot to Crazy Wow. He was 31-1, a stunner.
And later, it's the Canadian Pacing Derby, the ultimate clash of aged pacing colts.
And it's Bulldog Hanover in the Canadian Pacing Derby in 1:46 and 4/5, and he's tied the Canadian record.
Tradition, legacy, glory. It's where champions rise on Primetime Racing.
Woodbine Mohawk Park in scenic Campbellville, Ontario is the battleground tonight for harness racing's heavyweights, as it is the Maple Leaf Trot and the Canadian Pacing Derby coming up on Primetime Racing. A little bit on the cool side for your Labor Day weekend, but it is a clear evening. The track is fast. Conditions really don't get much better than this. Maybe a little bit warmer, Greg Blanchard, but hey, beggars can't be choosers, and we will take a dry evening for what should be some great racing action here this evening. As mentioned, Greg Blanchard to my right. I'm Mark McKelvey, and thanks so much for joining us here this evening for Greg, what is one of the premier nights of racing here at Woodbine Mohawk Park. It's all about the top older pacers and trotters in the game.
Yeah, and you talked about the weather. You know, it's feeling like we're coming toward the end of summer. I hate to say that, but you can feel it in the air. But this is the heart of the stakes season. The Grand Circuit rolls into town here in a big, big way over the next month. And yeah, many great champions have used these races as stepping stones. I think on the Maple Leaf Trot side of the Great Sandpail, the 3-time winner among the greats that have won this race several times. And you know, the Canadian Pacing Derby, so much rich history there. Go all the way back to greats like Rambling Willie, a 3-time winner in recent years, the one and only Bulldog Hanover, and you know, who will stamp themselves this year. In these older divisions, these are two of the marquee races in all of harness racing.
600,000 plus on the line in both the Maple Leaf Trot and the Canadian Pacing Derby. The Canadian Pacing Derby is the oldest stakes race in all of Canadian harness racing as well. There's so much history with both of these events. Upsets have certainly happened. We can think about them over the years. Your Dorsaduro Hanover, all not that long ago. The Maple Leaf Trot, certainly anything can happen when you're talking about trotters. Here tonight, though, we've got a couple of standouts when it comes to these races. You've got By the Missile in the Canadian Pacing Derby, who could be a heavy favorite. Atos Kronos, who's coming off a Canadian record mile. These two races, well, they do have a standout. Still, I think, are pretty wide open.
Yeah, I think maybe a little more wide open than other years, especially the Pacing Derby. I had a tough time picking out a real standout there. So it's going to be kind of a new face emerging this year, and it's going to be a big, big feather in the cap of whoever takes home the trophy tonight.
You just saw the field for the Maple Leaf Trot. That's race number 7 here this evening. Then we'll get to race number 10, the Canadian Pacing Derby. In total, we will bring you 5 races here this evening on Primetime Racing, kicking off with race number 6 in about 13 minutes' time. There's one other member of our broadcast team that we would like to introduce at this time, and that is Jamie McDonald. Jamie, how's it going?
You are trackside, I am paddock side, and so excited to give all the connections a chance to talk about their horses and what their expectations are for tonight. We had some big elim winners, like you had said, track records set in the elims and equaling track records. And what a phenomenal way to come into a finals night. Usually we see that on finals night, and we are so excited to see the electricity here in the paddock. Once again, I'll be bringing all kinds of information inside the paddock.
Thank you very much, Jamie. Looking forward to hearing from those that'll be competing in tonight's marquee event. It's a who's list when you think about it. The top trainers, the top drivers for what should be a couple of great showdowns.
Yeah, and a good night already for locals too. And in years past, the American Vaders would come in and they'd kind of maybe dominate at times, and maybe even a little bit of an intimidation factor. I think those days are behind us. So many top local stars on the driving and training side here, along with the equines on the racetrack, and we're going to see some proof of that later.
Well, we'll spend a lot of time teeing up our main events, but we want to get to the racing action. When we come back, it's all about what's going to happen out on the track. Don't go anywhere. Primetime Racing continues. Well, the sun is set on Woodbine Mohawk Park and the lights are shining bright. It's a big night here at Woodbine Mohawk Park with those rich events, the Maple Leaf Trot and the Canadian Pacing Derby combined. Over $1.3 million will be on the line. And before the break, Greg, you were talking about the fact that we are now really into the heart of the stakes season here at Woodbine. You think about the Pepsi North America Cup back in June, which we had here on Primetime Racing. After that, it's a bit of a focus on the Ontario Sire Stakes, but we're now back to Grand Circuit season. And week in and week out, you're going to see the very best right here in Campbellville. Yeah, and by this point in the season, we've seen these horses clash a few times, and typically horses start to emerge from the pack, and a race like this can really go a long way in potential year-end honors for them. But as we said, especially in the Pacing Derby tonight, we're not seeing those big, high-profile, prolific horses that we have seen in past years coming in. So whoever wins, that's going to be quite an addition to the resume, and could propel them to a great second half of the season. Yeah, awards are still on the line both in Canada and the United States, and races like the Maple Leaf Trot and the Canadian Pacing Derby can go a long way on your resume to those year-end honors. You talk about profiles. A horse that certainly got a great profile is that of Gaines Hanover in tonight's Maple Leaf Trot. He's a winner of nearly $1 million in his career. When he was a 2-year-old back in 2019, he won a Breeders' Crown right here at Mohawk. Hoping for a little more magic once again. Maybe not as high profile, though, is his trainer, Justin Turcotte, and Jamie had a chance to chat with him. Trainer Justin Turcotte joins us now, leaving from post 7 with Gaines Hanover and Bob McClure in the bike. Last week in the Elim, absolutely raced phenomenal. Came home finishing strong. What were your thoughts?
We thought he raced excellent. He come a really, really good back half, good last quarter. The trip worked out great for him, and hoping we have the same luck this week.
And how was he just overall this week coming out of the limb, and of course your prep into the final?
He's been his usual self. He's very relaxed. Nothing bothers him. He's bomb-proof. He just goes about his daily routine on his own. You can't really get him to change his routine. What he wants, that's what he does.
That's perfect as long as he's happy, right?
Yep, that's all we can do.
And coming into the final here, of course, in the outer post, you've got some really fast horses. Everyone can kind of use their speed when they want it in this final. What would be a great trip for him?
I think decent fractions up front. If they go a hot half, I think he showed last week he's got the good closing kick. It's going to be tough either way. I mean, every horse in this race deserves to be in there, and they're all going to have their work cut out for them. Just going to be the best trip is the winner.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and good luck tonight in the Maple Leaf Trot final.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jamie, and thank you, Justin. And as I was mentioning, Justin's profile when being the trainer of record, it's continuing to build. Of course, this season he's having a really good go of it, but he's been involved with some pretty good horses and some pretty big barns over the years. This is a big moment for him. You have to wonder how he's feeling when you're looking down that paddock and you're going up against your likes of your Luke Blaze, your Oka Swansteads, your Marcus Melanders, Ron Burke. I mean, it's a who's who's list, but he's got a horse that is certainly capable, if things set up, of delivering.
Yeah, I think so. And, for Justin, relatively new face in races like this, but he's been at it a long time, comes from a really good racing family, and Gaines Hanover is the type of horse that could really help put him on the map. And, coming into this season, expectations, I think, were high for him, and he really started off the campaign on a high note. Looked like he maybe could be the best older trotter in Canada, and he's held that form, and he has been one of the best. You would expect to see a great champion like Logan Park in the field tonight. A rare kind of disappointing effort for him not to make the final. So Gaines Hanover, one of the horses that's going to be carrying the hopes of the locals.
In last week's elimination, he finished third, trotted his mile in 150-3. His career best is 150-2, and up until last week, that was the Canadian record. Unfortunately for him and a few others that held that record, Atos Kronos posts a mile of 149-4. How about this, Greg? It was 30 years and 3 days apart from the first sub-150 pace mile in Canadian racing that we had the first sub-150 trot mile. So it took a little more than 30 years, and I'm sure there was a time where a lot of people would have said, you'll never see a trotter break 150.
Well, times have changed, Mark, for sure, and those records now, they fall fast and furious these days. The speed is incredible, and the evolution of the trotter certainly has been remarkable when you think about it. So, pretty amazing to think they finally have broke that sub 150 barrier, and I'm not sure we've got the weather to see them lower that any further here tonight, but at some point, they will, because the trotters have evolved so much. They're almost as fast as the best pacers nowadays.
What was incredible about that 150-2 track and Canadian record on the trot was that a 3-year-old did it earlier this year in a Moticon Legacy. Earlier tonight, he just missed his track record. He won a division of the Simcoe Stakes in 150-3. We'll likely see him in just a couple weeks' time in the Canadian Trotting Classic. I think it speaks volumes to how impressive his mile was. He did that in June of his 3-year-old season, was joining the likes of your Gaines Hanovers, your Atlantis, and Fashion Frenzies.
Yeah, he looked so good tonight, and who knows, that may be a good omen for Determination trainer Luke Blais and Louis Philippois, as they've got private access coming up in that Maple Leaf Trot over in race 7.
All right, well, the horses are stepping onto the track for our first race of our coverage. This is race number 6, $36,000 fillies and mares preferred. A good-looking group here. Number 1 is Glenborough. Tyler Borth drives for trainer Jody Cullen. Travis Cullen owns 6 last time out. She's been hanging around at this level for quite some time.
She's got it all the 2. Just saw that one on postpaid. Travis Henry driving for Rick Zeron. She's a 4-time winner this year. Career winner of over $500,000.
We saw Absolution, young reinsman Todd Ratchford sitting behind that one for trainer Jack Moiseyev. There was the 4, a few choice words, Billy Davis for Blake McIntosh.
Kyle Fellows having a great season, 110 training wins for the young conditioner. He's got Angostura Hanover here, Trevor Henry driving from post 5.
Grit and Grace has a big fan base in Manitoba. Michael Kwitnowski trains, Jody Jameson drives.
Fastest in the field this season with a 148-4 record. Coco Jojo, number 7, will have James McDonald in tow.
There's the 8 tells on a roll. Mentioned Travis Cullen owning the 1 Glenboro. He'll drive this one for the Cullen stable. And then we get to a mare who's gotten a lot of attention this year.
She has had a remarkable campaign. Her name, Caviar and Crackers, 11 wins and counting. And, we're just past the midway point of the season. $242,000 earned, and she got a marquee win down in my neck of the woods earlier this year when she captured the Forest City Pace on the half-mile oval at the Raceway at Western Fair District. She can do it, though, on all size racetracks, and even with an outside post, a big chance to come back for career or seasonal win, I should say, number 12.
Well, this Fillies and Mares Preferred could be viewed as a bit of a prep for next weekend's Milton Stakes eliminations as part of this Grand Circuit season here at Woodbine Mohawk Park. The Milton Stakes will be a marquee race coming up on September 13th. That's for the best pacing mares. Unfortunately for these mares, they've had to run into the likes of Twin Bee Joe Fresh and Sylvia Hanover. They're the two standouts. Caviar and Crackers is one that you could make a case for, can maybe step up and hang in with those two. She's not eligible to the Milton Stakes. Her connections, though, are considering potentially supplementing her to that race. The deadline is noon on Monday. The fee, $20,000. I'm sure, depending how tonight goes, it could give them lots to think about over the next 24 hours or so.
Yeah, with a lot of the marquee races for older mares, the good thing is they're right here at Mohawk Park. Of course, the Breeders' Crown later this season as well. So, yeah, I think if you were going to take a shot and supplement, reach into the pocketbook for $20,000 and take a shot, she's in career best form this season. She's on home soil. Why not? Why not roll the dice?
Well, she's made over $240,000 this year, so maybe that's a little something that you could take into consideration, that she's already banked that kind of money. It would be a tough task. Sylvia Hanover, former Canadian Horse of the Year, she qualified yesterday. She was scratched from a start last weekend in Ohio. She was scratched sick. She came back yesterday with a good-looking qualifier. Her arch rival, Twin Bee Joe Fresh, she had a qualifier south of the border in New Jersey at the Meadowlands. She also looked real good. It's exciting that we're going to get another showdown of those mares coming up very soon.
Yeah, that's the type of rivalry that gets people salivating in the harness racing business. And, last season it wasn't much of a rivalry. Twin Bee Joe Fresh dominated. The year prior, it was Sylvia who really had the upper hand. And now this season it's been a bit of a back and forth. And, it's going to be imperative for the trainers to have these mares at tip-top and right at the top of their game. And that's why a horse like a Caviar and Crackers, she's such a high-quality mare that, if she's in it, she will keep those types honest. And if they're just not coming up with their best day, then she could be the type that could upset.
So Caviar and Crackers goes from the outside post position number 9. She's 4-1 here. She's coming in off a win last time out here at Mohawk in the Preferred. She just doesn't seem to always get the kind of respect she probably deserves. No,
maybe a little bit of a Rodney Dangerfield type, and especially when you consider her resume this season, really dwarfs the rest of the competition here in this spot. So even with post 9, she's got such good tactical speed, and she's, I think, really blossomed. When she first came to the circuit, she was pretty much a closer. She had a kind of a one dimension to her, but she's rounded out her game a lot in the last couple of years, and she can do it any which way you choose. She's all class, and even with post 9, I think she's clearly the horse to beat here.
Well, the number 6, that is Grit and Grace. She was taking some good betting support. She's currently 5-2. She's coming in off a 4th place effort, but she was closing hard. 26 seconds was her final quarter, finished 4th, and was beat less than a length. Earlier this year, she got on a bit of a run. She's won 8 times. She's made over $178,000. Now, this mare here is owned by Lorraine Ray of Manitoba. Michael Kwitnowski's really enjoying the ride, and Jody Jamieson seems to be a great fit for her.
What a nice season she's put together. We mentioned Caviar and Crackers earlier, winning the Forest City Pace in London. This mare was the runner-up on that occasion. She had the outside post. She was a long shot. And the week prior in the Margaret Juravinsky Memorial at Flamborough Downs, also a half-mile track, an outside post and a real good runner-up effort. So she's sort of proven since then that those two races weren't a fluke. She has gone on to put together an excellent campaign. Hasn't been able to quite maintain that early season form of late, but has been showing some encouraging signs and closing in now on almost $200,000 in earnings this year alone.
The starting gate is making its way out onto the track, which means the pacing mares are going to be called in just a little over a minute. Looking through the rest of this field here, Greg, we talked about the Cullen barn having the 1-2 punch of Glenborough and Tells on a Roll. Last year, Tells on a Roll, she was really the talk of the town at this mare's preferred level, made over $270,000, was a 10-time winner. The visits to the winner's circle haven't been as frequent this year. She's always capable, though, of stepping up. Right now, you're getting 13-1, a little bit higher than that 5-1 morning line. Could she be the kind of filly that just kind of shows her back class?
Yeah, you wouldn't be surprised. And Collins also have Glenborough in here, and that one's a homebred. One of several nice homebreds that they have developed. So, they're building up the stable from the ground up with horses they've campaigned in the past, and they have a formidable group. In fact, Jody Cullen, what a season she's having on the training side, winningest trainer in Canada this season by wins, and strength in numbers here.
So a good group of 9 that's about to be called in. Time is almost up. We continue to take a look at the betting board, and it's a pretty competitive betting board right now. 2-1 favorite is the 6, Grit and Grace.
Still 4-1 on the 9. That could be the surprise of the night. Certainly, if you're a horse player and you're a fan of this mare, you better get up to the pari-mutuel windows right now.
All right, so the starter is giving the call to the horses and drivers. In a moment, we're going to send things up to Chad Rosema, who is calling the action this evening. He's at the top of the Woodbine Mohawk Park Grandstand. Our first of 5 races coming your way on PrimeTime Racing. It's a $36,000 Fillies and Mares Preferred. Here's Chad with the call.
Pool in the works. As we approach 50,000 in the pool, it'll jump up quite a bit here in these final few moments. Fillies and Mares Preferred Pacers. A handful of them getting support. Slight favorite to the 6, Grit and Grace. Just missed in her latest. Is she ready to return to the winner's circle? Betting public thinks so. It's post time for race number 6. Preferred Mares in line, picking up speed. Here they come. There they go. They're off and pacing. Tells on a roll from the outside. A few choice words inside, along with Glenborough. Tells on a roll, and Cullen, they'll continue to drive on, looking for the early lead. In behind her, they're 3 wide. Inside, Glenborough. Outside of that one, a few choice words. And the one taking the brunt of it is Hensley with Caviar and Crackers. He's got her forwardly placed tonight. To the inside stronghold, she's got it all. Trying to settle down. Also parked is Coco Jojo. Angostura hand over to the inside. Then Absolution. And Grit and Grace is the early trailer. 26-2 opening quarter. We've got plenty up front happening. Caviar and Crackers now clears ahead of Tells in a roll. But parked up to third. A few choice words inside is Glenborough. Second over fifth is Coco Jojo. Pinned it as she's got it all. Brought to the outside. Angostura Hanover. She'll be third over from seventh. Then Absolution and Grit and Grace. Caviar and Crackers. And Ed Hensley showing the way a length on Tells on a roll. She'll get them to the midway point in 56. A few choice words is up to third on the outside. Inside fourth is Glenborough. Second over fifth, Coco Jojo. Angostura Hanover to the outer flow. Then She's Got It All, Absolution, and Grit and Grace to the inside. Caviar and Crackers has got the lead with just under 3/8 of a mile to go. Tells on a roll at 17-1. She appears to be live all over the helmet in second. A few choice words. A tough night for her. Also parked out is Coco Jojo, but McDonald's going to pull the trigger 3 wide now. Henry and Angostura Hanover follow that move. 125 3/4, and it's Caviar and Crackers swinging for the stretch. Here's Tells on a roll on the outside to try and track her down. Then it's Glenborough looking for a way through, as she generally is. Grit and Grace, Angostura Hanover coming to life as his Absolution. Tells on a roll takes over the lead at 17-1. Cullen goes to work trying to get her to the wire, and Tells on a roll pulls off the upset to kick off the mid-pick 5. Tells on a roll over Angostura Hanover and Absolution, and 152-4.
Well, we mentioned Tells on a roll, always capable of stepping up, and she is able to get it done tonight at 17-1 with the upset score after a 2-hole ride in a race that was a little bit puzzling how it worked out here. Greg, Caviar and Crackers up front, the fractions very soft, and almost had a bit of a roadblock in that horse that was first up.
You don't see it very often at this particular level. A horse getting away with fractions like that. The first quarter hotly contested, but then able to tap the brakes. 29-3 second quarter, just a 29-second third quarter. I think equally surprising is that Caviar and Crackers didn't have more late kick after getting the fractions like she did, but Tells on a roll, kind of never a doubt result. Once she tipped from the pocket, she was full of pace, and a couple of hard chargers late, just had too much work to do, finishing second and third.
So there you have it. Travis Cullen guides Tells on a roll to her 22nd lifetime win. She takes the mare's preferred. Post-race reaction coming up when we return on Primetime Racing. Tells on a roll wins the $36,000 Mayor's Preferred as she exits the winner's circle, making her third trip there this year, 22nd of her career, and with the victory inches a little bit closer to $700,000 in earnings. Jody Cullen, the winning trainer. Travis Cullen engineers the winning trip from the sulky for owners Paul Sanders, A1 Stable, and Ron Cullen. Take a look at the prices here, and we're kicking things off with a bang.
Generous win return there, $37.40. We talked about it just before post. Before they went to the post, that if there was a mare that had upset potential, it Tells on a roll, all kinds of back class, and just simply got overlooked here tonight. But when she worked out that perfect two-hole trip and the fraction set up the way they did, you knew turning for home she had a big opportunity.
You have to think those that backed Caviar and Crackers, though, when she was on the lead, kind of stealing away with those fractions, 5-1, looked very dreamy. Unfortunately for her, tonight just was not her evening. And now we will turn the page to our first of our co-main events. It is the Maple Leaf Trot. The purse is $630,000. It's the top older trotters in the game, a field of 10 that are going to clash. When you think about trotting, Greg, a little bit earlier this month, we were at the Hambletonian. Oka Svanstead got the job done in that marquee race once again. Of course, if there's a big-time trotting race, you're probably going to find him, and we will here tonight. He'll send out a couple. But you talk about Svansteads and your Melanders. In the past, you talked about your Tactors. I mean, there just seems to always be those trotting specialists who year in and year out have horses in these marquee races.
Yeah, for sure. And they are kind of the new kids on the block from that perspective. In recent years, Svanstead's been one of the more dominant trainers in the sport. Marcus has worked his way up to that elite level and has now become a regular competitor in races like this, and a lot of success here in Canada as well. In terms of Canadian trainers, you would say the same, I think, for Luc Blais. He's the trainer for Determination of Montreal, Quebec, and Serge Godin, one of the biggest owners in the sport, and they've had a tremendous amount of success and already clicked with a Grand Circuit win earlier this evening, and they've got private access from Post 1.
So that's a look at the field of 10 for the Maple Leaf Trot, as that'll be coming up next. And the betting board now opening up here, and we'll kind of get a bit of an idea of where that money's going to go early on. I mean, the performance last week by Atos Kronos obviously turns heads, 149-4. What I think is worth noting, though, was the effort of Hill Exotic, who was right there with them. Sometimes in those big miles, it's a blowout win and a horse posts a real flashy time. In this case, Hill Exotic trotted a mile in 150 and was right there. Unfortunately for his connections, trainer Todd Luther, driver Jody Jamieson, it's going to be post position number 9. But I don't think this is a case of Atos Kronos off that record mile just being the clear-cut top choice.
No, I think he will be heavily favored in here, but yeah, you're right. I think others are going to make him earn it tonight. That's exactly what Hill Exotic did last week. It was unexpected that he could pose the late challenge that he did in that kind of a time, and it looked like he could threaten for the win at one point, but he never really did get by the wheel of a strong Atos Kronos. This is a horse that he's 9 years old. He's had some bumps along the road in his career, but when he is at his best, he is something special.
You think about over the years some of the top trotters that have come here to Woodbine and to Mohawk over the years to race in some of these big races, whether it was the Maple Leaf Trot or as well the Breeders' Crown, your Equinox B, Commander Crows, Bold Eagle back in 2019. Well, Bold Eagle's the sire of Atos Kronos, the 9-year-old here. That night when he won the Breeders' Crown, it was really something magical to kind of see the whole trotting world come right here to Campbellville. It was a sloppy night, but he got the job done. There is just something kind of magical about these top trotters, whether you're watching them here or over in Europe.
Yeah, they have a look to them. They're durable. They have speed. And they're versatile, and they can kind of do anything you want with them. And Atos Kronos, I think, fits that bill beautifully. He looked flawless coming to the wire last week. The head down, he's got the stride and the gait reminiscent kind of Bold Eagle, I think, when he raced here. So, he's following in his father's footsteps for sure, and he has that same kind of talent.
Well, his trainer is Marcus Melander, and Jamie had a chance to chat with him.
I'm here with Marcus Melander, trainer of the 3 and the 4 here in the Maple Leaf Trot. Leaving from post 3, we have Periculum, who won the Maple Leaf Trot with driver Scott Zeron last year. Tell us kind of about what you remember about that trip and what it would mean to repeat with those two again.
Yeah, that would be great, of course. It was very fun last year. He came in very sharp to the race, and it was a little bit of his coming out party. So, he had a great season last year, and that was one of the biggest race. It was the biggest race he won. So, it would be great if we can do it again.
And you do seem to be picking and choosing where you're racing him, and so far it's working out this season.
Yeah, they don't have that much in the beginning of the year, these age trotters, right? So it's a long season with a lot of fall racing here. So, now it's racing every other week here, so it'll be a tight schedule here forward. But, he's coming in sharp to the race.
And leaving from post 4, we have Atos Kronos, and tell us about him. He did actually come from Sweden.
Yes, exactly. He's been racing there his entire life, and then he's starting out to be had a stud career there, but it didn't really work out. So they, will give it a shot over here, and didn't really know what to expect in the beginning of the year there, but he definitely been racing great all year. He really stepped up a little bit more when we had Lasix to him. So he's super sharp.
Do you find there's pressure coming into a final? First, you have 2 in the Elim, but of course, one of them set a record last week. Is there pressure kind of leading into this final with both kind of top contenders here?
Usually elimination is worse, because anything can happen, and anything can happen in the final as well, of course. But if we don't make the final, you're not in it, and then you cannot win it, right? So, they had a good week. We draw good, so it'll be exciting.
And of course, they spent the night here at the track last night, a little sleepover. How do your horses deal with that type of situation? A new environment and sleeping here?
No problem at all. They had it last week as well. They were eating good, drinking good, and that's the most important. It's nice barns here at Mohawk, so it works out great.
And of course, a big thing is these horses, nothing's handed to them. They have to work for every win or place that they get. How do you keep them fresh, especially late into the season?
It's we had to do a lot of work during the winter, prepare them the right way so they, keep keep them strong and fresh all season, right? So then it's, you know, it's when you race at good tracks as well, that helps a lot, you know, racing here or Meadowlands or Pocono and those nice tracks, so that helps a lot.
Well, thank you for joining us here, and good luck tonight in the Maple Leaf Trot.
Thank you.
Well, Marcus Melander, always very insightful and gives us some good background on all of his horses. Earlier tonight, one of his top horses in his barn is Maryland, and unfortunately he made a break in the Simcoe Stakes, hopefully for the Melander barn, knock on wood, not a sign of things to come, and I don't think that'll necessarily be the case. Before we talk about the Maple Leaf Trot, though, there's a trainer, though, that kind of takes everything in stride. He mentioned about pressure, feeling it in the elimination. I just have to wonder in general how much pressure he feels, because he is loaded when it comes to talent with that barn, and they win a ton, but you're trying to win those big races, and as we know, Greg, the Hambletonians kind of eluded him, and that was a bit of a sting earlier this month.
Yeah, and he came in similar to what he did back in 2018, where he had 3 horses all in the final, looked almost unbeatable, and again wasn't able to get it done. And that's not any knock against Marcus or the horses, it's just circumstances. It's hard to believe, really. Yeah. He is one of the elite trainers in the sport, and you know, he's got these types of horses, and it's just a matter of time. But he's, you know, a little bit snake bitten in the Hambletonian. Good news for him, aside from tonight, with Maryland, he's had tremendous success in Canada, especially the last couple of years.
You're right about that. Knows a thing or two about winning these races, like the Maple Leaf Trot, so he doesn't mind sending horses here. Some trainers will opt to, after the elimination, take their horses back home if they're not locally stabled. In the case of Melander, he had his horses shipped up here. They went to trainer Greg McNair's farm. They've been there now for almost close to 2 weeks. He mentioned that they don't mind retention, so you have to think these horses are well prepped coming into tonight.
And that probably gives us, I think, some insight as to why his stable has done so well. He takes a little bit of a different approach than some others, and you know, it's working. Whatever he's doing seems to be working here, and I'll be surprised if he doesn't get it done tonight in the Maple Leaf Trot. That is a tremendous 1-2 punch he has in Ados Chronos, and of course the defending champion, Periculum.
Well, I was just going to bring up Periculum, because you talk about horses that have come back and been able to repeat in this race. Well, that is a feat in its own right. How about winning it 3 consecutive years? Talk about the company right there.
Yeah, there you know, haven't been too many to do it for sure over the long history of the event. Only 4, in fact. Ty Silk, the first to do it, 61, 63, 64. Then it was Grandpa Jim doing it in 3 consecutive years. That was quite an accomplishment. The great No Sex Please, he won it back-to-back, and then again in 92. And of course, who could forget San Bale? In the mid-2000s, he dominated this event, took on the very best in the sport, very best in the world, in fact, and boy, did he do Canada proud. People still talk about San Bale so fondly to this day.
Is it almost crazy for me to think that not winning it in a three-peat style, but winning it 3 times is even more impressive? The fact that your horse was at that level 3 out of 4 years,
point.
Right? I mean, to miss a year and then still come back and win it 2 more times, that's quite impressive. I mean, Periculum obviously got a long way to go, but you got to win it once to have a chance to win it 3 times.
That's right. So, you know, if he can right back and double up this year, then, yeah, he's only 6 years old. I wouldn't be the least bit shocked to see him around another season or 2 for sure. You know, there could be a stud career for him on the horizon, but typically, you know, when they're going to be a top commercial stallion, they retire them a little bit earlier, maybe around after the 3-4-year-old campaign. But you know, there'll be some appetite for a horse like this somewhere along the line, probably after this season.
We'll do a deeper dive in a moment to the entire field, but a trainer that's going to be very prominent in the Maple Leaf Trot and the Canadian Pacing Derby is that of Ron Burke. His brother Mickey Burke Jr. in attendance here tonight. He's in the paddock, and obviously it's a big evening for the Burke Brigade, but they're no strangers to big evenings. Most Saturday nights throughout the stakes season, they are racing 20, 30 horses across North America. Let's go back over to the paddock and Jamie.
Welcome back in front of race 7 here, of course, just before the Maple Leaf Trot tonight. And how excited are you with 3 starters?
Oh, I'm thrilled. I mean, we entered 3, we got them all into the finals. They all did well, so we were real pleased.
And good post positions, too. We have Lexus Cody leaving from post 5, Southwind Coors from post 6, and Chapter Craze from Post 8. Just in general, how were they this week?
Oh, they had a good week. They were, Ronnie, we trained them back at home at the Meadows, and everybody was good. We just, it didn't go real hard this week because they went hard enough last week. And but everybody was real good, and we're excited to see what we can do tonight.
Of course, they're all trotters, and they're all phenomenal trotters. But what do they bring to the table that separates them from each other?
They're all kind of the same. They all race well. They all go forward, and I'm just kind of, it's a tough bunch. I mean, you got Percolin in, you got Atos in there. So I'm glad we're at least got Cody close to them, and then but we pulled the shoes on Coors and Chapter Craze to give them a little bit more go today. So we'll see if that helps them.
Is that something that you do often?
We do it fairly regularly. We don't do it with every horse. No, we didn't put, like Lexus Cody, we left his shoes alone because he was great last week. We're not changing him. But every now and then, like if the track's going to be good, there's no mud, and like here, Lexington, a couple other tracks, we'll pull the shoes off and give them a shot.
Perfect. Well, thank you for the insight, and good luck tonight with all your starters.
Thank you.
All right, well, it's like Mickey knows what our show has on tap for you, because later on tonight we are going to take a little bit of a closer look at the track crew and the racing surface here at Woodbine Mohawk Park. But a note, they are pulling the shoes on a couple of their starters. When we come back, it'll be time for the post parade for the $630,000 Maple Leaf Trot. The Maple Leaf Trot, one of the most prestigious and historic races in Canadian harness racing, right there with the Canadian Pacing Derby, and that's what it's all about here tonight on Primetime Racing as we welcome you back into Woodbine Mohawk Park. Mark McKelvey, Greg Blanchard, Jamie McDonald, and our entire crew behind the scenes, pleased to bring you this coverage of one of the marquee evenings in Canadian racing. And I'm taking a look over our camera, and I can see that the parade marshal is coming out onto the track, which means the horses are going to follow suit in just a couple of moments. Prior to the break, though, we heard Mickey Burke Jr. speaking to the fact that the Burke horses, they went back to their stable near Pittsburgh this week, and just a bit of a light week for these horses. Trainer Ron Burke recently celebrated his 14,000th career victory. When you think about the Burke Brigade, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Probably volume of horses they race, volume of starts, volume of wins, and volume of money that they win every year. The numbers are phenomenal. His statistics are staggering when you look at them comparatively. They dwarf anyone else in the history of harness racing. And I think he's gone over 300 million now in purse winnings, or getting close to that mark, which is going to, at some point make him the winningest either driver or trainer in the history of the sport. It's just incredible, and averages well over 1,000 training wins a year, whereas for many conditioners, 1,000 in a career is a pretty impressive milestone.
It's just incredible, and it's mainly the thing that blows me away is how they manage everything. And obviously you need good help, but I always seem to get the vibe from Ron Burke that it's the support around him and that of the owners as well. He's got a real good group of friends, you could call them, that are partners with him on these horses. And one thing that they started to dabble in quite a bit, and this isn't something new, they've been doing it now for the last few years and having big time success, is breeding and racing their own stock. Not necessarily on the trotting side of things, but on the pacing side, these Burke homebreds just continue to step up. It's kind of scary. You used to have to go to the yearling sale and compete with them at some of those big sales like Lexington and Harrisburg. Now those horses aren't even getting to the sales ring. They're homegrown.
Yeah, and they have a formula that works. It has worked for a long time, and you're right. It's a kind of a small ownership group. The Burke stables themselves have an ownership stake in basically everything that they race. And now, as you said, developing an incredible breeding program as well. So it just keeps them coming up the pipeline, keeps great horses coming through the pipeline, and how they manage the volume of starters they have. They race at racetracks all over North America. They have satellite training stables as well. It's incredible. I'd love to see the data plan on his cell phone, frankly, and I wonder how much time he spends on there, because it has to be nonstop.
You'd have to think there are just some days he's just constantly watching races. If he's not out there on the track, or he's not in the paddock somewhere around North America, it'd be a full-time job just watching these horses race.
And when I've heard him interviewed, what strikes me too is he still has that fire burning inside him. He still has that passion, and he wants to win every time out, and hasn't lost that at all.
Well, Lexus Cody is the top of the three that he is sending out in tonight's race. He will be the number 5, an elimination winner last week. Yannick Gingras will sit behind. So you get a good look at the horses up close and personal from the paddock here at Woodbine Mohawk Park. A staggered post parade, which means we'll get a little more time to meet each of the 10 starters. Once again, $630,000 is on the line for the Maple Leaf Trot, race number 7 on this Saturday night from Mohawk Park. And when we kick things off, we will start with Determination. Luke Blais and Louis Waugh already going for their 3rd win this evening, and here they team with Private Access, a 4-year-old son of the great Muscle Hill. 3 wins in 8 starts this year as he's jumped up to those aged ranks. He has made over $750,000 and has a mark of 150-2, 4th in last week's elimination.
Trotting mares have done well in this event in recent years. The likes of Be a Magician, Hannelore Hanover, Atlanta come to mind. Well, here's the lone mare in the field, Call Me Goo. One of a couple for Okas Fonstead in the field. Tim Tetrick will do the driving on this lass, who's won $1.3 million in her career.
The 3 Atos Chronos will post parade last, so we move on to number 4 Periculum, the defending champ in the Maple Leaf Trot. Scott Ziron, the money man, will sit behind. He won last weekend's William Wellwood Memorial for a sizable purse of nearly $500,000. Marcus Melander trains for Brixton Medical, Holly Lane Stud East. 3 wins in 5 starts this year, never worse than the top 2.
We mentioned Hannelore Hanover and Atlanta. Yannick Gingras guided both of those mares to a win in this event. He's on board number 5, Lexus Cody, one of 3 Ron Burke trainees in the field. A victory tonight puts him over $1 million lifetime.
Southwind Coors started his racing career here locally at Woodbine Mohawk Park, so some familiar grounds for him. Another Burke trainee, Jason Bartlett, who's having a big-time season, definitely in contention for U.S. Driver of the Year, will sit behind.
A local hopeful, a former Breeders' Crown champion, number 7 is Gaines Hanover, owned by Gestion Jean-Yves Blais of Montreal, Quebec. Justin Turcotte, who we heard from earlier, will send out this one, and Bob McClure, one of the top local pilots, in the driver's seat.
The 8 is Chapper Craze. Ron Burke trains, so that'll be the final of his 3 starters. James McDonald sits behind, Woodbine Mohawk Park's leading reinsman. 2 wins in 12 starts this year for this 5-year-old. He was 5th, got into the final. You have to be in it to win it.
Hill Exotic number 9 was 2nd in that track record elimination a week ago. Jody Jamieson, who won this event in 2012, behind Mr. Herbie. We'll handle this one for trainer Todd Luther and Greg Luther Racing of Ohio.
Oka Svanstead trains and drives the 10 Up Your Deo. This 5-year-old was third in his Maple Leaf Trot elimination, a winner of $1.1 million, 2 for 7 this year after going winless in 10 starts last year. Tough starting spot, but we'll see what Svanstead can make happen. One of 2 that he sends out in the Maple Leaf Trot. And as mentioned, there's one more horse to meet, Greg, and that is your current 5-2 second choice, the track record holder, Atos Kronos.
And it's going to be Dexter Dunn in the driver's seat. Dunn captured the 2023 edition of the event with Alaraja 1 for Oka Svanstead. On that occasion, teams up with the Marcus Melander trainee here. And Melander, of course, won last year with Periculum and also clicked in 2018 with Crazy Wow.
So that's the field of 10 for the Maple Leaf Trot. 600,000 plus on the line for this Grade 1 event. I mentioned Atos Kronos is your current second choice on the betting board. Are you surprised by that?
I am. At this point in time, actually quite surprised. So it'll be interesting here to see this last couple of minutes. Those odds can change. I expect that they will. But, right now, even money, the public thinks Periculum comes right back and defends his title.
3, 4, 5. Atos Kronos, Periculum, and Lexus Cody are taking the betting support, which is no surprise. You've got the 2 elimination winners, and then you've got last year's defending champ who just missed to Lexus Cody in their elimination. Scott Zeron, his success in these big-time races, it's been talked about quite a bit, but I don't think it could be understated. He just knows how to deliver in these moments. Last weekend, along with his partner Megan Scran, they won the William Wellwood Memorial, a marquee 2-year-old trot race, with a horse, Ardon, who maybe down the road here in a few weeks' time we could see in the Mohawk Million. And who else would you want but the money man in these kind of races? This is really his time of the year.
Yeah, when they call you the money man, that's a good sign. That tells us that you do not shy away from the biggest moments on the biggest stages. And Scott Zeron has proven that time and time again over the course of his career. And Periculum, when you look at the elimination last week, Mark, and how that race unfolded, he really had the horse in the perfect spot. It was kind of surprising, frankly, that he didn't fire by and go by and win. So I think full marks to Lexus Cody, who was very good and held him off, and he's a classy competitor himself. So I'm not shocked to see the betting public really having a difficult time deciding between those 3 in the middle of the starting gate. But now we're starting to see a bit of that shift in the odds here as we get closer to post time.
Well, there's a look at Periculum. He looks terrific on the track. It'll just be his 6th start of the year. He is the most lightly raced horse in the field here in 2025. And Marcus Melander touched on it in his interview with Jamie that you pick your spots, but there isn't a lot of the big-time races in the first half of the season. So you are pointing to this time of the year, and I have to think that's why there's a lot of support going behind this horse, is that people see a Marcus Melander. He wants these horses peaking for when the big money is on the line. Let's talk about a few others in this race, and I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Private Access. Coming into tonight, probably wasn't going to touch on him much, but with what we've seen already from 2 Luke Blais trainees with big-time performances, including a Moticon Legacy, one of the standout 3-year-olds, sometimes when the barn is hot, that momentum just carries through.
You're right, and in the elimination, he just had too far to come. He got away 7th from a mid-gate starting position. Not sure what led to getting that slow getaway that had him just a little bit out of position to be a serious threat for the win. But he was good enough to get up and notch that final qualifying spot, and that's crucial because he's got post 1 here. And Louis-Philippe Bois, is going to have him closer, or try to have him much closer to the pace this week. And that's going to be the key. If he is within range turning for home, he has the talent to make some noise. I'm not going to pick him to jump up and win here, but if he did, you wouldn't be shocked at all. And I think you've got to give a look to his next door neighbor, Call Me Goo, the lone mare in the field. One of the best mares in all of trotting, of course, last season. Hasn't been quite as good this year, but on her best day, factors in here.
And they took a chance going against the boys, even the fact that she's only got 2 wins this season. And for that, you're going up against some pretty good trotting mares when you got to take on the likes of your Streams and your Warwee Michelles. But maybe for trainer Oka Svanstedt, who trains Warwee Michelle, it was a case of maybe let's spread these horses out a little bit. And obviously he had the kind of faith in her that she could take on the boys and certainly hang.
And hands the lines back over to Tim Tetrick here. And Tim's got kind of the Midas touch in these big races too. He's already clicked for a winner earlier tonight in one of our signature races, and was third 2 back when he sat behind her in the Steel Memorial on Hambletonian Day at the Meadowlands. So she looks good. I like the demeanor of her. Going to need a different trip scenario than she got in the elimination. Trying to come first over against Etos Kronos, who was so strong last week, wasn't a winning recipe.
13-1 right now on the number 9 Hill Exotic, who you can't overlook after he was pushing Etos Kronos to the wire last week in that track record elimination of 149-4. And there is a look at the post-9 starter with Jody Jamieson driving for trainer Todd Luther. Let's talk about the conditions and the time that we could see in this race. I'm looking over my shoulder. The flags are standing still. Looking at my watch, it says it's 15 degrees Celsius. I would argue that it's probably a little bit cooler than that, at least sitting out here in the winner's circle. But with what could be a hotly contested opening quarter, can we challenge that track record time of 149-4? Or maybe do we have a better chance of setting a new stakes record? Elimination times don't count for stakes records, so the stakes record is 150-2. All Raja won 2 years ago.
Yeah, maybe. It's going to take an exceptional effort. You're right. It has cooled off substantially since the sun has gone down. It may sound like I'm getting a little bit tongue-tied. My teeth are chattering a little bit. That's what's happening. But, so, it's realistic that they could maybe threaten that. I don't think the conditions are ripe right now to challenge that overall track record.
All right, the horses have been called in, and Etos Kronos is your current favorite. Right alongside, though, is the 4 Periculum. Can Periculum go back-to-back in the Maple Leaf Trot? $630,000 on the line. We send it up to Chad Rosema with the call.
Field for the Grade 1 Maple Leaf Trot final are at the top of the stretch. In behind the gate, here they come. And they're off and trotting. Hill Exotic leaving out of there. Up Your Dale made a break. Lexus Cody with speed down the center. Private Access inside. Ayatos Kronos joins them. Jamieson and Hill Exotic going to drive forward to take over the lead with Lexus Cody pocketing up. Ayatos Kronos gets a seat third of the first turn ahead of Private Access. He's followed by Periculum. Then it is Call Me Goose, Southwind Coors. On the outside, parked out Chapper Craze back to Gaines, Hanover, and playing catch-up after the miscue, it's Up Your Dale. Hill Exotic getting to lead it to a 26-4 opening quarter. Out of the 2-hole, though, Gingras with Lexus Cody. He calls on him to go forward and take over. Here's Lexus Cody up on the outside to take the front away from Hill Exotic, who's now going to be relinquished to the 2-hole. Ayatos Kronos trotting third, Private Access fourth. In fifth, it's Periculum. Then Call Me Goo. Southwind Coors, Park Throat has been Chapper Craze. Gaines, Hanover, and Up Your Dale trails. They're halfway home in 54-3 in the Maple Leaf Trot, and it's Lexus Cody on top of length. Hill Exotic in second. Here's Ayatos Kronos out from third. First up, Periculum follows them. Inside is Private Access. Call Me Goo third over. Southwind Coors locked up. Chapper Craze fourth over. Back to Gaines, Hanover, and Up Your Dale. Lexus Cody with the length advantage heading to this final turn. Ayatos Kronos getting closer on the outside. Hill Exotic locked in the pocket third. Second over, perfectly positioned. Yet again is Periculum. 122-1 to 3/4. They turn for the stretch in the Maple Leaf Trot final, and it's Lexus Cody with the lead, and Gingras calls on him to let it out a notch. Here's Lexus Cody on top. Ayatos Kronos backs away. Hill Exotic trying to rally, and Periculum down the center of the track. Lexus Cody still leading it by 2. Periculum getting closer, but they're not going to catch him. Lexus Cody, the Ontario sired power, gets it done in the Maple Leaf Trot in 149-1. That is a world record performance in the Maple Leaf Trot for Lexus Cody.
Unbelievable. A sizzling mile by Lexus Cody record time, 1:49.1 to win the Maple Leaf Trot. Out to the front, and Lexus Cody puts up big fractions, and he still had more in the lane.
Well, I said no shot at an overall track record. What do I know? That was incredible to watch. 3/4 flashed up 1:22.1. You and I looked at each other and were marveling that they got down there that quickly. And as soon as we did, we watched Lexus Cody open up 3 lengths on the field, and he was trotting straight and strong through the wire. I have never seen that horse that good. And he has been good on many occasions, but never better than tonight. That was an electrifying effort and a memorable Maple Leaf Trot masterpiece.
He did already have a career best of sub 150, 149.4, but he just destroys that. 149.1. We thought maybe they could touch 49.4, maybe if everything came together, but they destroy that. 49.1. Absolutely incredible performance here by Lexus Cody. You could see the emotion on Yannick Gingras as he celebrated coming down to the wire, and that is a 7-year-old gelding in 149.1. Unbelievable. Lexus Cody.
Yeah, and a carbon copy of the elimination where Periculum, tried valiantly to chase down Lexus Cody, and again, wasn't able to haul him down. And the reason why? Well, a record performance.
All right, well, Yannick Gingras is certainly going to be pumped. We know that. And in a moment, we're going to hear from him as we're going to send things over to John Rallis.
He captures the Maple Leaf Trot with Alexis Cody in a world record fashion, 149.1. Yannick, you had so much confidence with this guy after his Maple Leaf elimination victory. Did you think he would go this kind of mile tonight?
He's got the ability to do it. There's no doubt about it. He won in 49 last year. He's done that speed many times in the past. This horse has got all the ability in the world. I give credit to Ronnie and the whole Berg Brigade, JoJo and Jersey. He's not an easy horse, but now he's an easy horse to drive, and it's a pleasure to win this race tonight.
We've spoken about this guy so many times throughout the course of the year, and while he stood out against kind of preferred company, you were always confident that he would be able to step up against this kind of company. But did you think he would be able to do it, doing the heavy lifting?
Absolutely. He can do it. Like he showed last week, he can follow too, and I know Ronnie likes him that way. But in this situation, I thought it was better to take matters in our own hands. He can carry a speed so long. He's got 3 longs and couldn't be happier for the connection.
Obviously, with the way that he did it last week, I mean, sitting in the 2-hole, you weren't content with that. Did you feel? Did you want to remove in that spot at that moment?
I did with Jody, even though I really do like his horse. He's a tremendous horse too. But I wanted to have my chance to win the race. If I would have sat behind Dex, maybe that's about it. Everybody else, I was happy to cut it.
And lastly, obviously, we saw track record performance last time out, a world record here tonight. What does it mean for you as a Canadian to do it here on Canadian soil with this guy?
I'm not worried about speed and never worried about that. I'm worried about winning big races. Maple Leaf Trot means a lot, no doubt, that being home. My uncle's here tonight, so that surprised me being here. So it's special with I have my family around.
You've done that plenty of times, and you're going to continue to do it, I'm sure. Congratulations, Yannick.
Thank you so much.
All right, Yannick Gingras back into the winner's circle with Lexus Cody for trainer Ron Burke, owners Burke Racing Stable, Weaver Buscemi, and Phil Kalura. And it's the 7-year-old with a career best effort, 149.1. Just an incredible mile here. And you could hear he had all the confidence in the world.
He did, he knew the horse was exceptionally good in the elimination. Now, having said that, I don't think we saw this coming tonight. But, Lexus Cody, this is a signature win for him. He's kind of quietly earned close to $1 million. Hasn't had his name in the spotlight like he's going to have after winning the Maple Leaf Trot, though. This is a signature win for the horse, 3rd win for Yannick Gingras, and I don't think I've ever seen him as excited to win this race as he was coming across the wire.
Just pumped up as Lexus Cody wins the Maple Leaf Trot. More when we come back on Primetime Racing. Yannick Gingras hoists the Maple Leaf Trot Trophy as he guides Lexus Cody to the lifetime best score, 149-1, a track, stakes, and Canadian record. And you will be tough to wipe that smile off his face, but he's still got a little more work to do. Let's take a look at the prices right now, Greg. And I was thinking as the gate took off, we really didn't talk all that much about an Elim winner in Lexus Cody. We were given the focus to Periculum and Atos Kronos. And I guess as an Elim winner, he was flying under the radar.
We see it time and time again. Folks lean more heavily to one elimination winner, maybe based on that flashy time from a week ago. But little did many people know Lexus Cody had another couple of seconds in his pocket tonight. That is a Canadian record performance, and you're getting 13:30. And the third win in the Maple Leaf Trot for Yannick Gingras. Yannick, of course, a Canadian native of Sorel, Quebec. And, getting back on home soil and winning races like this puts that smile on his face.
So back into the winner's circle in the Maple Leaf Trot after having done that a few times before. We did check the history book because a mile like that blew us away. For the record, it is 2/5 off the all-time fastest trotting mile ever, 148-4, set at the Red Mile, Lexington, Kentucky by Homicide Hunter back in 2018. So 2/5 off that, but joining some very elite company, Acurie D, Atlanta, and Homicide Hunter, Manchego, and one other horse there, that being Six Pack at 149-1 or better. So going in with some just incredible company there. That's one of the fastest trotters in the history of the sport.
And one difference is I think all of those miles came under very different weather conditions than what we have tonight. I mean, it is a very nice night, but it is on the cool side, a little bit damp, and typically you don't see Canadian record performances when it's like this.
I always enjoy when the driver says, speed doesn't matter. I wasn't too worried about that. But they get back there and they're going to be talking about what a heck of a mile that was by Lexus Cody. I think you have to talk, though, about, Greg, the fact that this is a 7-year-old who's maybe in the best form of his career. You don't normally see that, really.
Right. He's not the kind of the household name when you talk older trotters, but after tonight, he's now going to be on people's minds for sure. He's now a Maple Leaf Trot champion, and he's a Canadian record holder and one of the fastest trotters of all time. It'll be interesting to see, does he now parlay this recent form into, a strong final half of the season and, be back here in a few months for the Breeders' Crown, coming in with as one of the heavyweight contenders.
Well, I'm glad you said that because that's exactly what I was thinking. Horses that seem to have success here at Mohawk, when they come back, they just love it here. I don't know if it's that Canadian air, but the conditions we have right now could be pretty similar to an October here in Campbellville, so you never know. Lexus Cody hoping to maintain that form right through over the next couple of months and come back here for the Breeders' Crown. We'll turn the page now to race number 8. We've got a couple of races before we get to the Canadian Pacing Derby, and here are horses, for some of them, that were trying to get into the Canadian Pacing Derby. This is a $60,000 open pace, and it's going to be a full field of 10, and this is a good group with a lot of household names. You've got a Buckabet Hanover, Tarazi, Fun Time by Yama, a field of 10 set to clash, and I think it kind of speaks volumes to the depth of this older pacing division this year when you've got horses like this that didn't make the Canadian Pacing Derby final on the undercard.
Yeah, I mean, these are horses that are certainly capable or very close to that level of competition. Century Komodo is a horse, a 4-year-old, and it's been nice to see him kind of blossom over the course of the season. The 4-year-old year is probably the toughest for a racehorse, that transition from 3 to 4, and he's handled it really, really nicely. He's blossomed into one of the top older pacers, certainly on this local circuit, and he finally got that quick 148-4 record that he's been chasing just 2 starts back. Little too far to come last time out. Post one tonight, and we'll see with Jason Bartlett driving for the first time if this can click as a winning combination, and you're going to get some value, I think, on him as well. Yeah, he's long odds right now, 28-1.
So there's Century Komodo. The 2 is going to be a Buckabet Hanover. But we'll go to number 3, Poseidon Sealster right now. Bob McClure for trainer Don Lindsay. This horse returning from PEI after finishing second in the coveted Gold Cup and Saucer.
He raced fantastic in that event as well. Tarassi's been one of the best older pacers in Canada over the last 2 or 3 seasons. He'll have post 4 here for Team McNair. Greg McNair, the trainer, and son Doug, who does the driving, and this guy with over 800,000 on his card.
5 Musketeer Hanover also in the McNair barn. Heading Gingras drives. This horse came north from south of the border, was 6th in his pacing derby elim. There was the 6 Celtic Spirit, another Minari trainee. Jody Jameson drives. That one 6th as well in his derby elimination.
Remember the Alamo, a hot horse here, has had 2 starts locally for new trainer Ben Bayerjean. A winning effort last time in 48-4. Louis Philippois driving tonight.
8 It's Major Major, another horse that raced in the Gold Cup and Saucer. Won his trial, but finished 7th in the final.
Former North America Cup competitor Fun Time by Ama, the 9 Andrew Harris trains. James McDonald driving.
The 10 is Dublin Dasher. Travis Cullen already with a win on our program tonight. Hoping to get another one here. Was 3rd last time out in the Preferred 2. And there is number 2, a Buck-a-Bet Hanover Dexter Dunn for trainer Andrew Harris. A horse that coming into this season was pegged to be the top performer in this division. I think it's safe to say after last year going 7 for 15, winning the Dan Patch Award as the top older pacer south of the border, made $1.1 million. This year though has been kind of disappointing. 1 win in 9 starts, just $57,000 earned, and he was 8th in his pacing derby elimination. Is there anything to take here tonight with the fact that he's not in the derby, but he faces some of these horses, and maybe this is a chance to kind of get off the schneid?
Well, I mean, he's in a spot where he should be able to win if he's even at 90% of the Buck-a-Bet Hanover we've seen here in the past. That would be good enough to certainly contend and maybe win in this spot. What I am surprised is to see him at 5-1. So the public right now has kind of jumped right off of his bandwagon. Typically, when in against just regular open types like this, you would see a horse like this bet very heavily, but you're getting value tonight. Having said that, it's maybe the time to back him because you're going to get rewarded more than you typically would on a horse like this in this kind of a classification. So, you know what? Maybe let the odds dictate if you're a horse player how you would play it. Remember the Alamo, on the other hand. Here's a 4-year-old that was an exciting 2-year-old. The 3-year-old campaign, frankly, I would say was disappointing. Banked $84,000, just a one-time winner. But this year, he's starting to put it together. He's now 7 for 14. He's developed that winning attitude, over $100,000 banked, and a fresh new recruit for Ben Bayerjean. Looks like this one was a private purchase, locally owned by Ben, along with Santo and Nunzio Veno and Frank Cirillo, all of Ontario. And he's made a real splash here in the first 2 starts for them.
Well, what I'm thinking here, Greg, is the fact that 6-5 right now, remember, at the Alamo. And back in July, he's racing in the overnights at the Meadowlands, a step below that open pace level. And he's racing well. He's winning or finishing 2nd. But I'm thinking that's a big jump up then to take on the likes of a Buck-a-Bet Hanover. And if I'm laying some money down here tonight, I think that price is just really enticing for me, because even though he hasn't had a whole lot of success this year, he did have a win in an open at the Meadowlands back on July 26th. And even if you look, I mean, he was 5th 2 starts back at Pocono, facing a lot of those horses that we'll see tonight in the pacing derby. But the fractions are there. I mean, he's pacing strong at somewhat. He's just not kind of able to get the job done right now. And I just think against this group, this could be a big confidence boost. We'll see if the betting board starts to shift as we get closer to post time. Good luck there. Remember the Alamo. A couple other horses I did want to touch on are the ones coming back from PEI. And obviously you can speak to this. It's a long trip to Charlottetown from here around Mohawk, and for a couple of these it was quite an enjoyable experience. I'd have to think Poseidon Seals are 2nd in the final. It's Major won his trial. What do we expect though with them coming back now to Ontario after having raced in the Gold Cup and Saucer 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, that is the big question, and it's a tough one to answer. Many have made that trip over the years. Many don't come back and race as good. A lot of times they'll take some time off. They'll take maybe a month off and kind of get back here, reset, reacclimate before they're back into race. Others, though, have been able to come back, get right back into racing as soon as they're back in Ontario, get right back into the regular schedule and carry on. I would say that's a rarity. and it's remarkable when a horse can do that. Now, having said that, Poseidon Sealster, he is a veteran. He's the epitome of a class horse, and he's the type that I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to see come back here and turn in his usual rock-solid effort. He was fantastic again for folks that maybe didn't see the Gold Cup and Saucer race. He had post 8. That's the far outside post. And he was parked on the outside every step of the race. Finally cleared to the lead at the 3/4 pole and was just beaten by the top local horse down there, Mickey Shan, who just picked him off in the final 16th of a mile. But he raced fantastic. And yeah, it's really hard to know how he's going to bounce back. The public, though, not giving him a real good look in here. He's 18-1.
Number 6, Celtic Spirit, who we see on the screen right now. Jody Jameson's driving for trainer Dave Maneri. This horse just recently moved into his care, racing in Ohio for Team Noble. Was 6th in his Pacing Derby elimination. Only got beat 3 3/4 lengths. So just missed making the final. So this horse definitely, I think, is worth a look. Right now, though, again, a pretty good price, 6-1, was 3-1 on the morning line. Maybe I'm just kind of blown away by the support that the 7, remember, the Alamo is taking. Another horse that didn't get into the Pacing Derby final was the number 9, Fun Time by Yama. It's been a up and down 4-year-old season for him so far, but back on familiar grounds.
Yeah, and he's got really good early speed. He'll probably have to try and utilize that if he's going to be any kind of a factor. I'm going to go back here to Century Komodo, number 1. I think 25-1. That price jumps out at me. This is a horse that consistently is a strong closing type. He does his best racing in the final quarter, and I think he'll have a chance to get sitting up much closer to the pace of the race this time around and a chance to utilize that late kick to his advantage. Yeah, I think a chance to win here if it sets up for him.
All right, could we see the tote board get lit up once again here tonight on Primetime Racing? Number 7, remember, the Alamo, the clear-cut favorite at 4-5. Expect that one to be blasting on out. $60,000 is on the line. It's the open pace, and Chad has the call.
Qualify for the rich Canadian Pacing Derby final coming up in race 10, but certainly someone here that wouldn't look at a place in there. That's one thing we know. Should be a good battle here. Field of 10 at the top of the stretch. Here they come for the 8th race. And they're off at pacing. Musketeer Hanover down the center. Flashes some speed, looking for a fast beginnings. Celtic Spirit and remember the Alamo. Tarasi to the inside to the top 4. Away 5th, Century Komodo. Outside of that one, a Buckabed Hanover. Wide into the opening turn and now settling. It'll be Fun Time by Yama. He's got 3 beat early on. It's Poseidon Sealster, who's tracked by its major early trailer, Dublin Dasher. Remember the Alamo at 2-5. Forges ahead, takes over the lead, 25-3 opening quarter. Remember the Alamo leads him into the backstretch towards 3/8 with Celtic Spirit in the 2-hole. Musketeer Hanover 3rd, 2 in front of Tarasi 4th. Century Komodo 5th. Then it's a Buckabet Hanover. Tracked by Fun Time by Yama. Poseidon Sealster next to last. It's major. Trailer in 10th. Dublin Dasher. Half mile coming up next for Remember the Alamo. Leading over Celtic Spirit and Tarasi. First up out of 4th. Now takes over 3rd. Gives cover to Century Komodo. 54, they're down to the half. Locked up is Musketeer Hanover. 3rd over a Buckabet Hanover. Pinned to the inside, Poseidon Sealster. Then 4th over into the flow. That's Fun Time by Yama. It's major following him. Saving the ground, Dublin Dasher. Remember the Alamo. Slim lead inside. Tarasi, the one that's on the attack. And now matching strides with the leader. Celtic Spirit with pace, but locked up right now. Century Komodo swinging wide for Bartlett. The plugs are out. A Buckabet Hanover and Dunn are going to follow that move. 121 3 3/4, and it's Remember the Alamo with the lead. Celtic Spirit is just dying to get out of the pocket. He's got tons of pace, nowhere to go. Jameson's going to take a look up the inside now as it opens. Remember the Alamo's got company from everywhere. Celtic Spirit inside. A Buckabet Hanover cut loose. Century Komodo and Fun Time by Yama. But a Buckabet Hanover is going to beat him to the wire. A Buckabet Hanover or Fun Time by Yama in 149.
Hey, sometimes we know what we're talking about here, and hopefully you put a little coin on number 2, a Buckabet Hanover. Last year's Dan Patch Award winner. It's been a tough year. Didn't make the Pacing Derby final. Goes in against a I'm not saying easier competition, but not the top of the top competition, and goes off at 8-1, a perfect steer from Dexter Dunn for the victory.
Yeah, it really set up well for him. He was third over, but you could tell that the front end was getting softened up. That's a fast three-quarter time of 1:21.3. Century Komodo was the horse in the second over spot. He went 3 wide. A Buckabed Hanover able to follow him and go by him late, and then hold off Fun Time by Emma at 36-1 long odds. He came from a long way back to make it very close, and Century Komodo, I thought, a solid third-place effort at 53-1. So this is going to be quite a payout coming up in this one.
Trainer Andrew Harris finishes 1-2. A Buckabed Hanover and Fun Time by Yama coming down to the wire in 149. We'll be back on Prime Time. Well, a Buckabed Hanover gets back into the winner's circle. That one will feel good for the connections. Trainer Andrew Harris, driver Dexter Dunn. It is the 24th career victory. Second win this year for the career earner of more than $2.5 million. That back class on display as he wins tonight's 8th race here at Woodbine Mohawk Park. We welcome you back to the winner's circle. At the desk here, Mark and Greg with you. We've got 2 more races to go on our coverage here this evening. The final race we'll bring you is going to be the $690,000 Canadian Pacing Derby. And while Buckabed Hanover wanted to be in that race, they'll have to settle for the score, and it was for an enhanced purse of $60,000 tonight in this open pace. So they'll take that winner's share, $30,000 in total for their connections, and hopefully for those that were playing along, they're going to be filling their pockets because, again, some nice generous returns.
I could tell, Mark, you were really liking what you saw on the odds board for a Buckabed Hanover. I couldn't believe he went off as high as he did. He was 5-1 when we were talking about him. He drifted up to 8-1. It's remarkable for a horse of his class in a race like this tonight with the post position, Dexter Dunn, everything kind of pointed to, maybe getting back into the win column. And, for those who backed him, well rewarded. The superfecta in that race paid more than $16,000.
And I'm not going to say, hey, look at us, these experts here at the desk, we were all over that one. But really, those were 4 horses on paper that you can make a strong case for. You really like Century Komodo at those big odds. Celtic Spirit in the 2-hole. Jody Jamieson just ended up in a tough spot, as it turned out. Finally got up the rail. That one gets into the top 4. And Andrew Harris with 2 horses that have just a ton of ability and have proven themselves. So right there, I think it just speaks more to the fact that was a pretty deep group overall when you think about it for that open pace. And we'll have more on those age pacers in a little bit when we get to the Canadian Pacing Derby. But part of tonight's program is the Ontario Sire Stakes. So the provincial's best 3-year-old pacing colts are going to clash in our next contest, the purse $90,000. Let's take a look, though, at the season's leaders when it comes to the points in the OSS Gold ranks. You've got, of course, the likes of Crackshot, who raced in this year's Pepsi North America Cup right in the hunt, and we're getting in now to the final stages of the OSS season. Super finals are coming up just around the corner, and here are some of those top performers in the Glamour Boy division.
Yeah, it's been a really good division, really wide open this season. Earlier tonight, we saw Control Rocks racing. He is the leader in points this year. It's kind of been a resurgence for this guy in the 3-year-old division. And here, Crackshot. Crackshot hasn't focused solely, though, on this. He's been mixing it up. He's been off to Kentucky recently, racing in Lexington, in a couple of Kentucky Sire Stakes events there. Earlier, he took on Grand Circuit Company, racing in the Pepsi North America Cup. But when he's in against provincial horses, provincial rivals like he is tonight, he's always a big force. Interesting story here. We know that it was much talked about earlier in the season. This guy co-owned by Dale Hunter of London Knights fame and NHL fame, and of course won a Memorial Cup title earlier this year, another Memorial Cup title, and he's had a lot of fun watching his Crackshot this year.
It shows how fast the summer goes by. We were talking about the London Knights winning the Memorial Cup just before the North America Cup. Well, the London Knights had their first exhibition game last night. Hockey season already creeping on up. So we'll see if Crackshot can get the job done here tonight, but one of his main rivals is going to be number 5 All-Star Maniac. He was a standout in this division last year, made 6 figures, but didn't get to the races until late June this season, and he's been making up for lost time. He's won 3 of 6 starts, and he should be a big-time force coming up here in race number 9. His drivers James McDonald and Jamie McDonald caught up with him earlier.
Driver James McDonald joins us now. Let's talk about race 9 first, our OSS Gold, the 3-year-olds on the pace. You are leaving from post 5, All-Star Maniac, and you have drove him as a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old. So how have you seen him kind of grow and mature over the past year?
Actually, a lot. Last year, he was a crazy horse. He would get a little wound up leaving the gate, and you always had to be careful with him, not start him up too early. So he did kind of develop a good late kick because we were always being so careful with him. But this year, he was a little late getting started, but I've been able to drive him however I want. I've moved him to the front a few times, and he was awesome. Then Grand River, he was really gutsy first up, a long way, and I just thought it was a spectacular effort. Unfortunately, last week hooked a wheel, but tonight I think if he gets a good trip, he's going to be tough to beat.
That's what I was going to say. You know, you can move him around. He's very versatile, and that type of horse and that type of skill, is it come by often?
Yes and no. I mean, a lot of times these good horses, they're more versatile than the cheaper horses. They're not quite, they like things one way and one way only, but a lot of the good horses still, they prefer one way more than the other, and him, I think he's good both ways. Maybe if I had to pick one trip, I would say probably put him on the front. He seems to, a lot of horses sometimes will wait on the lead, and he's not one. He hits top of the stretch and he's just gone, so.
Let's move on to race 10, the Canadian Pacing Derby, one that you have seen the winner's circle before. So this is a horse, Captain Luke, leaving from post 2. You haven't driven him, so you picked up the drive. What's it like to kind of pick up a drive in such a big race, and how to handle a horse that you're unfamiliar with?
No, it's always an honor to pick up a drive in a signature race. Anytime they can use anyone they want and they land on you, it's a big compliment, and I see it that way anyway, and I'm really proud to get a drive like that. Like you said, I've had luck in the race before with long shots, so I think, you know, if Captain Luke, if the trip works out, you know, we need a lot to go right, but if it does, you never know. That's why they race the race. But I talked to Dex a little bit before I came down tonight, just to kind of get a feel if there was anything I needed to know, and Dex is a great guy, great driver, and he was forthcoming with information on the horse. So I haven't driven him before, but I've raced against him lots last year with Legendary Hanover, and I feel like I know him pretty well. So hopefully we can work something out tonight.
Well, good luck tonight in these final races, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, always good to catch up with James McDonald. He'll hope to have some success here with All-Star Maniac and then look for a little long shot magic in the Canadian Pacing Derby, a race that he has won twice before. On a night like tonight, obviously we talk a lot about speed, and we saw that record mile in the Maple Leaf Trot of 1:49.1. We don't get those record miles without the track crew, Greg, and it's not just a 1 or 2 person operation. It takes a village.
It really does, and there's a big team behind the scenes here at Woodbine Mohawk Park. That's why they have one of the best tracks in all of North American harness racing. And earlier tonight, we heard a guy like Mickey Berg talking about pulling shoes from horses, and there's only a few tracks that they're willing to do it on. This is one of them.
All right, well, let's learn a little more about the Mohawk track crew.
I'm Brad Maxwell, and I'm the manager of Mohawk's Racetrack. I took care of my own tracks for like 20 years. I never thought about the racetrack when I raced. I never paid much attention to how the track was done or anything like that. I knew how to do the farm track, but when I came here and I seen the size of the track, I was overwhelmed. It starts first thing in the morning and get done around 3 o'clock. The guys are great. You never know what the weather's going to be like, and you never know what's going to happen. So the guys in the morning they're very good at what they do, and they do take a lot of pride in it. We've got a roller, a tiny roller that we use in between the pylons to make the track firm. We've got 2 graders, and we grade the track quite often. 2 dump trucks to put the material on, a piece of machinery that goes on the dump trucks that puts the material on the track evenly. We got loaders to load the trucks, and then we've got 4 tractors. We've got a packer that we pack the track every day to make sure that it's firm, and then we cut it to open it for racing. The amount of material that's put on this track on a weekly, monthly basis is unbelievable. It's the same every day for everyone. Sometimes for 2-year-olds on a Monday night, we'll try to keep it a little cuppier and softer for the 2-year-olds, but other than that, the track stays the same all week. It's a blessing to see the best horses in North America come up here and put on a performance, and it's entertaining, and it's nice to see them. I work for some fantastic people too, and Jennifer Ferreira, Bill McClinchy, and Heather Flaherty. They're very supportive of what we do, and they make things a lot easier for us.
Well, we're under the stars, under the bright lights, and under the moon here at Woodbine Mohawk Park as Canadian Pacing Derby and Maple Leaf Trot Night rolls on. Coming up next, it's race number 9, Ontario Sire Stakes Gold action. 3-year-old pacing colts and geldings. They are on the track. Prior to the break, we had that feature with Brad Maxwell, who is the manager of the racing surface here at Woodbine Mohawk Park. A modest individual because Brad, prior to this current occupation, had a lot of success training some real top racehorses, and it's been a unique transition to now move to this side of becoming the lead track man for one of the premier spots in all of harness racing.
And I think it's a good thing. It gives him a different perspective. It's the horse people that rely on the track crew and having a good track to race on weekly. So, Brad was able to, come at it from that perspective, transition, learned about track maintenance, and has done a wonderful job. And I can tell you these track crews take a lot of pride when you see record performances too. They want a good fast track, but they want a safe track first and foremost. And a tip of the hat to not only the team here, but all over Ontario, and a lot of these Canadian tracks that race all winter long too. They've got different seasons, different elements that they're dealing with, and it's a demanding job. It's full time, and there's a real science to maintaining a track, especially at this caliber when you've got these world-class horses performing on it nightly.
Some unsung heroes in the game, no doubt about it. It's 24/7, 365 for the track crews, especially right here at Woodbine Mohawk Park. And obviously they've got it in tip-top shape here this evening, as we saw that record mile by Alexis Cody in the Maple Leaf Trot, 149.1. Talking about pacers here, a field of 7 3-year-old pacing colts. We mentioned Crackshot, All-Star Maniac being your two standouts here. It's currently 1-2, the odds on All-Star Maniac, 2-1 on number 2, Crackshot. You mentioned about Crackshot venturing south of the border to the Red Mile in Lexington, Kentucky to race in the Kentucky Sire Stakes. Kentucky, a unique situation where it's not like here where you have to be completely Ontario sired. In this case, if the dam, the mother of the horse, was in the state of Kentucky for a certain amount of time, that means that this horse can then be eligible to the Kentucky Sire Stakes. So they're kind of double dipping, and both programs go for real good money. So there's a lot on the line over the next 5-6 weeks for Crackshot and his connections.
And yeah, for those who have dual eligible horses, there's a lot of earning opportunity. You're racing in Kentucky where the purses are exceptional. Again, you're talking U.S. dollars as well. And then, the opportunity to race in the Ontario program, one of the most lucrative anywhere in the world. So, yeah, there's a lot of earning potential. And he's been putting away the dollars so far. He's closing in on $500,000 in his career, and he's got some potential big paydays still ahead of him because, yeah, things are heating up here. But in Kentucky, too, a lot of big events coming up there over the next month or month and a half. So Crackshot, they'll want to keep him in top form. He is son of Bettor's Delight. Interesting when I look at the program page here to see the Bettor's Delight influence. Sons of him that have produced horses that we're seeing competing in here as well. Of course, Bettor's Delight, one of the all-time greats, if not the greatest pacing stallion of our generation.
No doubt about it. Crackshot, he has got earnings of over $450,000, just adding to those staggering totals for Bettor's Delight. Crackshot raced just this past Sunday night at the Red Mile. He finished third, was kind of drifting out, something we've seen him do over the course of his career late, but he got beaten in just less than a length. I thought he raced pretty well. Seemed like he maybe just wasn't getting around the turns at times the most swiftly or the most gracefully, but still was battling down to the wire in that race. I think here tonight he could turn in a big effort coming back home to a track that he's had success at here at Woodbine Mohawk Park. James McDonald talked about All-Star Maniac and just how versatile this horse is. Unfortunately, last week, and maybe fortunately they were only racing for $23,000 and not $90,000, he hooked wheels with another competitor, and it took him out of the race. Fortunately, comes out unscathed. What this horse has done as of late, I expect him to be the favorite when they finally get sent on their way, and right now he's a clear favorite at 2-5. Is he your pick in this race, or do you think Crackshot or someone else can knock off All-Star Maniac?
I think All-Star Maniac is going to bounce back in here, but yeah, Crackshot's a top horse. The only thing I wonder about him is that demanding schedule that he's been keeping here. And you talked about that issue he has of drifting out in the home stretch. We've seen that from time to time this season. It makes you think there's some little issue or some little thing that's making him do that. Having said that, whatever it is, he's racing through it, and he's been one of the very best colts in Ontario this season. So it's kind of remarkable. And, if they can ever rectify that, we don't know how good Crackshot potentially could be. But I think it's going to be one of those two. I'd give the gray Sterling Choice a chance. When he comes with his A game, he's capable.
Certainly is. He faced older rivals last time out and was doing the road work. He was second 2 back in a gold to All-Star Maniac. The gates in motion, a field of 7. OSS Gold set to go.
Field for the 9th race. Picking up speed. Here they come. And away they go. They're off and pacing, and Sterling Choice blasts out of there for Davis. Crackshot to his inside, All-Star Maniac, forwardly placed tonight. He'll drive on for McDonald after that leader, Sterling Choice, as they head to the opening turn. And splitting them now is McNair with Crackshot. So that's going to put All-Star Maniac 3 wide into the opening turn. Crackshot in between. Down to the inside is the roan Sterling Choice. Then it's a break of 5 to Blue Bar, who's followed by Boxer Sealster. That one 2 in front of Century Lucifer. Trailer Smiling Dancer. 26 and 3 opening quarter. All-Star Maniac parked beyond that into the backstretch, but he leads now ahead of Crackshot, who's in the 2-hole. Sterling Choice third. 3 more lengths to Blue Bar, the 4th one. He's 2 in front of Boxer Sealster 5th. Then in 6th is Century Lucifer. Trailer 7, Smiling Dancer. Single file as they come towards the half with All-Star Maniac 1-9 overwhelming favorite, controlling the pace. Crackshot in 2nd. Sterling Choice 3rd. Blue Bar's tightened up 4th. Boxer Sealster closer 5th. Then Century Lucifer and Smiling Dancer 55 and 1 the half-mile speed. And it's All-Star Maniac leading it a length to 5/8 with Crackshot in the 2-hole. Sterling Choice 3rd. Blue Bar is going to stay in. Henry first to move with Boxer Sealster out of 5th. He takes over 4th. Century Lucifer is going to follow his cover 2nd over. Then Smiling Dancer's been the trailer throughout. McNair's out of the 2-hole with Crackshot. And Henry is going to be wide, 3 wide there briefly. Now tucking 2 wide. 123 and 3 3/4. All-Star Maniac, the one they got to chase down. He still leads at a length and a half. Crackshot was out of the pocket. He's trying to chase him down. Up the inside, Sterling Choice. Boxer Sealster in behind them. It's All-Star Maniac still with a length lead on Crackshot, who's up to the wheel. It's All-Star Maniac, and Crackshot won't catch him. All-Star Maniac worked hard early, but he staved off late to win it in 1:49 and 4. It's All-Star Maniac in the 2nd gold.
Well, it's All-Star Maniac and Crackshot 1-2 as we forecasted, and a good effort from Crackshot trying to get up there on All-Star Maniac, but All-Star Maniac really, really good here this evening after a pretty tough opening quarter there, taken pretty wide into the turn, but he gets the job done for the 1:49 and 4 score.
And a sparkling final quarter time of 26 and 1, and he needed that. There is Crackshot lapped on right up on the saddle pad coming to the wire, but couldn't get by as that final quarter just a little too quick. So All-Star Maniac, yeah, making up for time. A little bit later getting going than some of the other ones, but that's his 4th win in just 7 starts now.
And for Crackshot, it's been a little while between trips to the winner's circle, but just continues to add to his earnings, over 200,000 plus. He'll take a second here tonight, and we know down the road he'll get another crack at All-Star Maniac. We'll be back on Primetime. And there's a look at All-Star Maniac, who picks up another OSS Gold victory. It's his 4th win in 7 starts this year, career win number 6. And with the victory goes over $260,000 in earnings for Millar Farms. Trainer Nick Gallucci and driver James McDonald, of course, the connections that have been teaming with the great Chantilly. And they got another good one in the barn, no doubt about it, in All-Star Maniac with a 149-4 score in tonight's 2nd OSS Gold Division. Well, we continue on this Saturday night, Maple Leaf Trot Canadian Pacing Derby night from Woodbine Mohawk Park. And Greg, we've seen some pretty good tilts through 4 races here of our live coverage, but maybe the best is yet to come with that heavyweight battle in the Canadian Pacing Derby. And when you think about it, the Canadian Pacing Derby, it's supposed to be a heavyweight battle. It's the best open pacers in the game. You think of the past winners in recent years, your likes of Mick Wicked, your likes of Allywag Hanover, Bulldog Hanover. You go back further to your Real Desires, Strong Clan, our colleague Randy Waples guiding that one and standing up on the bike at Woodbine. I mean, it's got a rich history, this event. It goes back almost 100 years and multiple racetracks. This is one of my favorite races each and every year.
I'm in full agreement. Yeah, you love to see these horses at this point in their career. That's the best way to describe it. They're the heavyweights, and we've seen some epic battles over the years. And, they've got the speed, they've got the toughness, and they're ultra competitive when they get to this stage in their career. And many of the greats have used this race as a stepping stone. Let's go further back to the great Rambling Willie in the 1970s and some of the ones that you've mentioned. A great stepping stone as well for young drivers who are trying to emerge in the sport. And I remember a young James McDonald got the biggest win of his career back at the time when Courtly Choice won a few years back. And that kind of propelled him, got him more visibility. And he's carried the ball since then, and he's become the kingpin in Canada.
Absolutely, as he continues to just rack up the victories and the earnings. We just saw him in the winner's circle with All-Star Maniac. But you're right, 2019 Courtly Choice, James McDonald guides that one to the score. He would follow it up the next year with Dorsadoro Hanover. But winning a race like that, once you get it once, it just gives you the belief each and every time you go in, you have a chance to win.
Yeah, that's right. And both of those horses weren't necessarily expected to win in both of their years. So James this year picks up Captain Luke for the first time. This is a very good horse, very accomplished 4-year-old pacer that has a good post to work with. It's sent out by Andrew Harris, who we already saw winning on the show tonight. The type of profile that you wouldn't be shocked to see a guy like James get him to the winner's circle for his 3rd Pacing Derby title.
Well, earlier today here at Woodbine Mohawk Park, they hosted a community family day. It was an opportunity to kick off the Breeders' Crown Charity Challenge, which is tied in, of course, with the Breeders' Crown, and it's going to raise funds for 4 different local charities. Driver James McDonald is a part of it, so too is Bob McClure, Louis Waugh, and Doug McNair. Some prominent owners in the game are also a part of it. You've got Serge Godin's Determination, George Millar's Millar Farms, Marvin Katz, and Brad Grant. Great to give back, and I think this industry has shown time and time again that they love to give back and to help others, especially within the industry, of course, too. When tough times are falling for those individuals, there seems to always be kind of that rally. James was out here earlier today, and he was speaking with John Campbell, president of the Hamiltonian Society. He's in attendance here today as well, and I kind of got a chuckle because James made a comment to John Campbell about how many pacing derbies you got. I got 2, but John Campbell, I think, ended up with 4. So he's got him beat there. James still has a little bit of work to do, but this is a race.
He's got time, though.
Yeah, he's got some time, no doubt about it. But John Campbell is mentioning this was always one of those races each and every year. You had penciled. You hoped you had one of those top free crawlers.
Yeah, for sure. This is one of the 2 or 3 signature races for this older pacing division in North America. The Houghton Memorial that they race earlier in the season at the Meadowlands, probably the big one, and then of course the Breeders' Crown later this year. So this could be a little bit of a preview for what we will see in the Breeders' Crown. And, a lot has changed from the early stages of the season till now. A lot will change between now and later in October.
Well, Scott Zeron last year got to the winner's circle in the Canadian Pacing Derby with It's My Show. This year he's going to team with Maximus Mickey. Scott is standing by with Jamie over in the paddock.
Thanks, guys. And like you said, Scott, you've connected, you've made it to the winner's circle, and looking to come back to it this year.
Yeah, I mean, I got a good horse, and hopefully we do it again.
Leaving from post 5 tonight with Maximum Mickey. Now, you were third in the elim last week, but we're coming on very forward in the finish. Something I saw super strong, like still passing horses, coming to the end, being strong. What were you feeling in the bike?
Yeah, for me, it was a first-time experience. I never sat behind him. He's an older horse that I just haven't had to have that experience. So it was more of a learning lesson for me than it was for him. And, you know, he's got a 64.5-inch hobble, so he takes a little bit to get up in gear. And once you do get him there, he doesn't slow down.
And how was he just to handle on the track, how he's behaving out there?
He's very good. I mean, he's easily confused as lazy, but that's just because he takes a while to get up in gear.
Yeah, those big horses, you know, long legs, long strides, they might look a little bit slower compared to someone who's going a little bit faster, or legs are looking faster.
Yeah, for sure. But at the end of the day, his endurance is phenomenal, so hopefully we do that.
Now, post 5, there's some speed all over this race. What do you see going into the first turn?
A mess. It's a mess. I won't be part of it, although I'd love to be, just because I think if he ever got to the front, he'd go a really big mile. Just think it would be too taxing for me to do it. So we'll look to get away mid-pack and pray there's good flow, because if there isn't good flow, he's just not going to get motivated in the third turn.
That's what I was going to say. How do you think, you know, he'll race kind of off the pace and behind someone would be the best trip?
Yeah, actually, first up probably would be. I just don't think I could get into that position. Yeah. So I got to use what we get going out of the gate and then go from there.
And like I said before, not new to the winner's circle here, Mohawk, or on the other side of the border. How is it coming back home and being successful here?
I love home. I mean, obviously winning some of the Grade 1 races here is enjoyable too, but home is now New York and actually Lexington. So we're everywhere.
And where can we see you kind of on the map coming this fall?
Well, this fall, it's just following these stakes races until the end of it, all the way to Breeders' Crown and a little bit beyond that. And then December 1st, you won't see me.
Some time off is always well-deserved. Well, thanks for joining us here tonight, and good luck.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Jamie. Good to hear there from Scott Zera. And I mentioned last Saturday had the big win with Ardon in the Wellwood Memorial, and just like that group of Grand Circuit drivers, they really just follow wherever the stake schedule takes them. Obviously, the prominence of the Kentucky Sire Stakes has kind of changed things. They're racing 4 days a week right now in Lexington, and Scott mentioned with that kind of schedule, a lot of these drivers are actually setting up shop there, and whether they're renting or buying homes, it is becoming a second home for them. It's a grind, but as he mentioned, I'm sure when they get to the winter, that time off feels good.
Yeah, it sounds like he's already thinking vacation, but he's got a lot of work to do between now and then, and he'll be trying to pad the bank account too, he's got a lot of opportunity to do that. Of course, right here in the Canadian Pacing Derby, and so many of the lucrative events still to come. All around North America, the Little Brown Jug, one of the great pacing events in our sport, that's coming up later in September. All the stakes races here. Lexington, of course, with their big Grand Circuit meet, and then the Breeders' Crown. It's going to be a lot of fun. It all comes down to the Breeders' Crown. We can't wait for that.
Well, coming up here in the Canadian Pacing Derby, I think most eyes are going to be on By the Missile. What's he going to have in store for an encore after last weekend? He tied the all-time Canadian record of 146-4. Just a couple of years ago, though, he was in a very familiar spot. He won his elimination for the Canadian Pacing Derby in 2023 in a time of 147 flat. He went into the final. He was the heavy favorite. Let's go back to a couple of years ago, the 2023 Pacing Derby. Flat. Line drive, Hanover getting up to his wheel. Alleywag, Hanover 2 lengths away. On cover, Tattoo Artist will now look to fire. It's By the Missile, still with that lead. Alleywag, Hanover trying to find some room up the rail. By the Missile called upon now. Alleywag, Hanover's got nowhere to go, but here comes Tattoo Artist, and Tattoo Artist is charging on the outside. By the Missile digs in. Tattoo Artist, they duel down to the wire. Tattoo Artist, second last year. This year he wins the Derby. 147-4. So a close call 2 years ago in the Canadian Pacing Derby for By the Missile, where again, kind of a similar situation this year. Big mile in the elim, probably going to be the favorite here when it all is said and done, and he just came up short. So is this kind of about redemption for these connections?
I'm sure it is, and I think it's just about racking up another big win for By the Missile. He's had an incredible career, and for Team Burke, they're trying to cap off what would be one of those dream nights for the stable, winning the Maple Leaf Trot earlier with Lexus Cody, the biggest win of his career to date. And for By the Missile, I think if he were to win here, you could argue that would be maybe the biggest win of his career. He is a past Little Brown Jug winner, and that would be right up there too. But I think he's coming in as good as he could be. He's been close before, and Yannick will be wanting to win this one too, for the horse as much as for him.
Absolutely. He's 6 years old, so a couple of years ago as a 4-year-old, just came up short in the pacing derby, but they've kept him at that top level, and he gets another crack at it as Yannick Gingras tries to complete this dream night. He caught up with Jamie earlier.
Yannick Gingras joins us now before the Canadian Pacing Derby Race 10, leaving from post 4 with By the Missile, and you equaled the track record last week. What type of feeling does that give you coming into a final?
A lot of confidence, that's for sure. He's coming into the race as good as he could be. He's probably the best he's been, at least since he was 4, maybe ever, really. I was really impressed with him last week. Ronnie said he would be good, and he sure was on point.
He shows speed everywhere throughout the mile and very versatile, as all these horses are. How is he to handle on the track?
Sometimes he can be a handful, especially when he was younger. He was a handful. I felt like this year he's been actually really, really good to handle. Last week, maybe too good. Last week he was a little more keyed up than he had been in weeks past, but just the right amount of keyed up. Like he wasn't wild like he was young, but other than that, in the race he's good to drive.
Well, thanks for joining us here, and good luck tonight.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Jamie. Yannick Gingras already into the winner's circle in the Maple Leaf Trot. A chance now to win the Canadian Pacing Derby. If he gets that done, this will be one of those nights for the Hall of Famer that'll be right up there with one of the most memorable.
Yeah, for sure. He got a big monkey off of his back last year when he won the Hamiltonian. Yannick had won everything there is to win in the sport. That's the race that had eluded him. He's finally got that one in the bank, and now he's just racking up these Grand Circuit wins. Another Grade 1 opportunity here in the Canadian Pacing Derby. And I think maybe this is the year for By the Missile.
Well, By the Missile, trying to keep the ball rolling for the Burke Brigade and Yannick Gingras. They've already lifted one trophy. Can they make it two? The Canadian Pacing Derby coming up soon here on Primetime. The Grade 1 Canadian Pacing Derby is going to be our final race here on Primetime Racing here on this Labor Day weekend from Woodbine Mohawk Park. Thanks so much for making us part of your Saturday night. Mark McKelvey, Greg Blanchard, Jamie McDonald, and an entire crew behind the scenes bringing you this live coverage as we head into the month of September, where we got the Mohawk Million and Metro Pace. October, we've got the Breeders' Crown. It's championship season, to say the least, here at Woodbine Mohawk Park. And one of those championship races is the Pacing Derby, Greg, and I alluded to it a little bit earlier earlier, just how historic this race is from its start nearly a century ago.
Yeah, way back, I believe 1936, when the Canadian Pacing Derby first began. There have been 4 different tracks that have hosted this race over the course of its history. The new Hamburg Fairgrounds nearby, Greenwood Racetrack, Woodbine Racetrack, and of course here Woodbine Mohawk Park over the last number of years. In all that history, though, just a single 4-time winner, the great Count B. He had a former series named after him here. The High 6 when Liz Mara won it that year, just a little bit shy of $1 million. And the stakes record, well, we know who set that in recent years.
Doesn't really need an introduction, but we'll give him one nonetheless. He is the world champion. He is the great Bulldog Hanover, 146-4. That's a time he put up, obviously, in the Pacing Derby final. He also did it another time here at Woodbine Mohawk Park, and that is part of the track record, the Canadian record for the fastest mile ever in Canadian harness racing. A few others have joined him, including By the Missile last week when winning his elimination. So I bring this up because we talked about the Maple Leaf Trot and we were dead wrong. Can they challenge 146-4?
Well, I'm going to say they can challenge it, yes.
Will they break it? That's probably the better question.
I don't think they will. So again, hopefully they prove me wrong and we see something as special as we saw in the Maple Leaf Trot. I mean, that was fantastic. I can't wait to go back and watch that replay. What I took as we watch here, we've got a great vantage point. They're coming to the wire. Was just how strong that horse was trotting through the wire. He was in full flight. He was kind of poetry in motion. So let's hope we see something similar here. I think we can expect some fireworks, as we always do in the Pacing Derby.
And Scott Zeron mentioned to Jamie that he expects it's going to be a scramble into that first turn. So if you get that hot opening quarter, there's really not going to be any breather in this race. Kind of similar maybe to what we saw in the Pepsi North America Cup earlier this year, where there wasn't really ever an opportunity, even for an 1/8 or a 1/16 of a mile, to catch a breather. That could be the case here, because you have to think, as much as By the Missile looks like a standout, and right now he is the 8-5 favorite, there are several others in here who certainly think their horse is good enough to win. They think they're coming in here with a great chance to win. I think you'd make that case for the 3 Sabonis, no doubt about it, the 6 Irvin Hanover, who wasn't a limb winner. There's a few others to talk about as well, including Coach's Corner, who I think there's a horse that you got to give some respect to for trainer Per Engblom, who's going to be well represented. This is a pretty deep group.
Yeah, there's nobody in here that's intimidating the rest of the field, and that's exactly what you want. I think everyone's going to drive their own race. They're going to try and set up the scenario that gives them the best chance to win. Some years you get a horse that looks so impressive that they force the others to maybe race a little more conservatively than they normally would. And I don't think that's going to be the case. They're all going to take a chance, especially when you've got $690,000 up for grabs. Getting a look there at Andrew Harris, putting the finishing touches on his horse, James McDonald, and Captain Luke. And, the stable already with a big win earlier tonight, the 1-2 finish in that open pace. That they're going to have big hopes for Captain Luke in this spot. But By the Missile, he's the horse to beat off that record-equaling performance in the elimination.
Number 3, Sabonis, who we'll see in a moment. It is worth noting that he was a supplemental entry to the Canadian Pacing Derby. His connections had to put up $40,000 to make him eligible to this race. He is owned by Diamond Creek Racing and Pelling Racing. Now, these connections no strangers to the winner's circle in this race, thanks to Allywag Hanover a few years back. I think Sabonis, who was 4th in his elimination, getting back kind of onto a more regular schedule and a little more climatized up here, I think he could be a big threat in this race tonight.
He's had a really nice 4-year-old season. Excuse me, he was an exciting 3-year-old last year. I believe he raced primarily in Indiana and emerged, against the best horses late in the season and really held his own well. Changed ownership, changed barns in the offseason, and enjoyed an excellent 4-year-old campaign. Brett Belling, one of the best ever in the sport, a master at pointing them for big races. You mentioned he won this race in 21 with Allywag Hanover. Got a win back in 2000 as well with the Great Western Ideal. And he'll have Sabonis peaked and ready to go, I think, with his best effort tonight.
Right now, looking at the betting board, he is the third choice at 4-1. Horses are on the track for the Canadian Pacing Derby. You can hear the bugle. It's the call to the post. A field of 10 set to clash. Number 1, Ruthless Hanover. Talk about big-time speed. He's got it. He races for John and Tom Cancellieri. Doug McNair will drive this winner of $1.1 million, who has a mark of 146-3.
Captain Luke, he's a millionaire. This one owned by the ownership group of William Pollock, along with Bruce Ehreman and trainer Andrew Harris, all of New Jersey. James McDonald, multiple O'Brien Award winner, is Canada's top driver on board.
Dexter Dunn going for another Pacing Derby title, as he won this race with Bulldog Hanover a few years back. Brett Pelling, Diamond Creek Racing team here with the 4-year-old Sabonis.
By the Missile, number 4, former Little Brown Jug champion, a career winner of $2.7 million. And coming off that record, equaling performance of 146-4 in his elimination. Ron Burke, the trainer, Yannick Gingras, they won earlier tonight in the Maple Leaf Trot, and they look to capture the Pacing Derby with By the Missile.
Another one for the Cancellieri brothers. Maximus Mickey, Scott Zeron sitting behind, 3 for 9 this year, a career best time of 148, which he took a little bit earlier this season.
Irvin Hanover having an excellent season. He's won half of his 10 starts this year for trainer David Maneri. Louis Philippe Juan, the driver's seat.
7 is hunting the last dollar, the first of 2 for trainer Per Engblom. Jody Jamieson will drive, 5th in his elimination. 7 wins this season, a 20-time winner overall.
The other Per Engblom pupil is Coach's Corner. He leaves post 8. Jason Bartlett driving this guy, career winner of just shy of $1.4 million.
Number 9 is Oakwood Arden. Earlier this season, he surprised with a 32-1 upset in a division of the William Houghton. 3rd in his Pacing Derby elimination. Robert Cleary trains, Jordan Stratton drives.
And it's Tim Tetrick guiding post 10 starter Helium, 2nd entrant sent out by trainer Dave Maneri. He landed the 5th and final qualifying spot in his Pacing Derby elimination.
So there's the field of 10 for the Grade 1 Canadian Pacing Derby. The purse $690,000. Quick peek at the betting board right now tells us the even money choice is number 4, By the Missile, as the betting public thinks he can follow up that record-equaling performance and give Gingras and Burke the sweep of the main events here tonight. Now down to 4-5. 7-2 on number 6, Irvin Hanover, the other elimination winner. He stopped the clock in 147-4. 5-1 on Sabonis. And then rounding things out, everything else a little more even when you get to those 4th and 5th choices. Captain Luke in the mix, so too is going to be Maximus Mickey and Coach's Corner. Coach's Corner, though, has had a bit of a case of second-itis as of late. He was 2nd in his Derby Elim, 2nd in an invite at Pocono on August 16th, and 2nd in a division of the Sam McKee Memorial at the Meadowlands on August 2nd. Could he finally bust through here tonight? When I think of this horse, I think more half-mile specialist, but he has shown that he can hang with these top horses on the big track.
And another thing he's shown is that tactical speed, and he employed that last week. He was on the lead. Nobody came around him, so he had to do all of the work up front, and he laid down some torrid splits. He was down to the half in 53 3/4 in an eye-popping 120-1. He was no match for By the Missile off of that trip, but he did hold 2nd. It was really a valiant effort. Now, if he can leave and get, as they say, covered up, let another horse come around him, and then he can draft maybe in the 2nd or 3rd position, then I think he's got a big chance to win, a realistic opportunity to post the upset.
Jason Bartlett drives. He's having just a dream season. He has the most earnings of any driver in North America right now. You think Jason Bartlett, you think Yonkers. You don't necessarily go right to the Grand Circuit, but he's really established himself. Not that he really had to. I mean, the career numbers are incredible, but this year there's maybe been a bit more of a focus on racing in these events and kind of following these big horses around. So far, he's driven the winners of close to $10 million, 542 wins in total. His UDRS over 400. I mean, he's just having a banner year. You want to win in a race like this, though, to really kind of cement your case when you get to the year-end honors. I think right now he's in the mix for Driver of the Year in the U.S.
He is. So yeah, a win in a signature race like this, if he can put a couple of those types of wins on his resume this year, then that could be the tipping point for him. But you're right, nothing at all to prove for him. He can drive with the very best. He has won on the Grand Circuit before, and I'm fully confident that he'll give Coach's Corner every chance to win in here. But when you talk top drivers, and if you're going to give an edge to somebody, well, in the last few years, there's nobody that's done it better than Dexter. No pun intended, but Sabonis here, Dexter Dunn. It's a formidable combination here, and especially when you're trained by Brett Belling. We talked about him, one of the best to ever do it, and especially on the pacing side. And he's done a nice job with Sabonis in his transition 4-year-old season.
Dexter Dunn is currently 4th in North America in terms of driver earnings. He's driven the winners of $6.4 million. 4th overall, as mentioned. When you look at the 3 guys ahead of him, Jason Bartlett, Gannick Gingras, and Dan Noble, Gingras driven 1,400 races, 1,800 for Bartlett, 2,000 for Noble. Dexter Dunn, 700 starts. You talk about a hired gun. He has been the best in the game over the last few years, and this is what he lives for. It's the stakes season. It's the best horses in the game, and he usually continues to have success. And that's the horse I'm going to go with here tonight is Sabonis. I'm expecting a big effort from him, and you just got all the faith in the world.
Dexter moved to North America 6 years ago from New Zealand, so 6 full seasons. The top U.S. driver of the year 5 times in those 6 years. Upended once by Scott Zeron during that time, and has won everything, pretty much everything there is to win in the sport. So you talked about it. One of the best to do it. Now, a lot of people are now saying one of the best ever, and I don't think you'd get any arguing with that. It's a bonus. I'm a big fan of this horse. I thought he could be the type that could jump right up into the older division this year and make some noise, and he's done exactly that. A little bit flat, I thought, last time out, so that's where a guy like Pelling has a week to try and figure out why he didn't fire like he normally does, and if anyone can get him better this week, it's him.
Let's talk about a few others in this race. I think the one, Ruthless Hanover, he's got a ton of speed. We saw it in the elimination when he blasted on out to the front, 26 seconds flat. That was from an outside starting spot. Tonight he's got the rail. Can he push forward from the rail? It's a bit of a tricky spot here at Mohawk.
I think he can, because that's been his game over the course of his career. When he's won his big races, it's been right on the front. He plays catch me if you can, and when he's really good, they can't catch him. It's been a while since we've seen him do that, though, to win in that fashion against the very best horses. So I don't expect to see that tonight, but he might be able to recapture some of that old glory. But yes, I fully expect, even with post one, an old veteran like this, he'll get off on the right foot and should be up into that early mix.
Quickly, Irvin Hanover. We kind of overlooked Lexus Cody as the other elim winner in the Maple Leaf Trot, so we don't want to do that here with Irvin Hanover. By the Missile got the headlines, but Irvin Hanover was real good, and he's on a good win streak coming into this final.
Yeah, came up to Canada last fall, and that's where things really turned around for him. He took his game to a new level. Loves this track. He's got home field advantage. He's won 3 in a row. Excellent in the elimination. Why not come right back and win the final?
All right. It is the heavyweights set to battle in the Grade 1 Canadian Pacing Derby. $690,000 on the line. Buckle up. It's going to be a shootout. Let's go to Chad with the call.
The lone supplement to this race. Inside draw at 5-1. It's post time for race number 10. Field for the Grade 1. Final of the Canadian Pacing Derby. In line, here they come. And away they go. They're off in pacing. Sprinting out of there is Coach's Corner. Next door is going to be Irvin Hanover with him, and by the Missile with Captain Luke. Joining the fray to the top 4, and behind them is going to be Sabonis 5th. Ruthless Hanover from the rail 6th. Maximus Mickey hunting the last dollar. Last pair, Oakwood Ardan and Helium Trails. Moving on the outside, Bartlett with Coach's Corner, trying to clear past Irvin Hanover. Waugh really taking a hold of his yard to let him clear, and it is going to be Coach's Corner taking over after a 26-1 opening quarter. Irvin Hanover in the pocket, but not for long. He's back out, set to control things. Hot on his heels, likely to be by the missile from third. It's Captain Luke fourth. Fifth one is Sabonis. Then it's Ruthless Hanover. Maximus Mickey inside, hunting the last dollar. Oakwood Ardan and Helium at the back. Up towards the half they go, leading the way. It's Irvin Hanover being pressured on the outside now by the Missile, 54-1 down to the half. In behind that pair is Coach's Corner. Sabonis into the top four now. Captain Luke able to swing to the outside, follow his cover. He gets in front of Ruthless Hanover, hunting the last dollar to the inside, then Maximus Mickey wide. Oakwood Ardan and Helium trails. Inside Irvin Hanover, now poking ahead back in front of the Missile, who's parked on the outside, can't get by. 3 quarters with these two Titans in 1:20-3. And as they swing for home, it's Irvin Hanover back on top. The Missile chasing him in second. He's got 2 lengths to make up. From the back, here's Captain Luke starting to roll, and Maximus Mickey for Zeron. Irvin Hanover and Louis Waugh with a lead of 2. Captain Luke, Maximus Mickey chasing at him. Oakwood Ardan from the back as well. It's still Irvin Hanover. Maximus Mickey, the last one, trying to catch him. Irvin Hanover on the inside got picked off by Maximus Mickey in 1:48-1. Maximus Mickey and the Money Man at 9-1.
Scott Zeron goes back-to-back in the Canadian Pacing Derby as Maximus Mickey up in the nick of time to nail Irvin Hanover at the line, 148-1. Maximus Mickey at odds of 9-1 as Irvin Hanover went a huge trip there and just needed a tad more as he gets picked off.
This home stretch at Woodbine Mohawk Park, Mark, is close to 1,100 feet long, and this guy needed every inch of it to get there, and it was just a little bit too long, unfortunately, for Irvin Hanover, but that's why they call him the Money Man. Scott Zeron times it right on the stripe, and here it is, dramatic fashion coming to the finish here. Irvin Hanover, Louis Waugh imploring him to get to the wire first, but picked off in the final strides. Another thrilling edition of the Pacing Derby.
The Cancellieri brothers have put a lot into this game over the years. A lot of money, a lot of time spent at it. They've had some big wins over the years. They've been there, but this one will feel real good as Maximus Mickey is able to step up and win the Canadian Pacing Derby in a time of 148-1, his 4th win of the season, 25th of his career. The 6-year-old able to strike. Irvin Hanover, you got to feel for Louis Waugh. I mean, what a throwdown around the last turn by the Missile. Probably got a length by him. Never able to clear, though, as Irvin Hanover kind of matched. And when you go 26 and a piece in the 3rd quarter, 3 quarters in 120, it's going to be tough to hold on. And he nearly got it done. Can't take anything away from him. What an effort.
It looked to me like we were going to see a duplicate of what happened in the Maple Leaf Trot, where, he went to the front and took no prisoners, and I thought he was going to get it done. A remarkable effort, but just short.
Let's join in with John Rowles and Scott Zeron.
Here to victory, another long shot performance. And Scott, I mean, you've got a chance to sit behind this guy last time out. How impressed were you with that elimination performance, and how confident were you coming into tonight?
I was really impressed by him. It was a good thing I got to experience him before the final because he's got a big stride on him. It takes a while to get going, so when you saw me go pretty 4 wide pretty early there, it was for a reason, just to keep his momentum.
Obviously, you drew well here in this final, and this is a horse who has some versatility as well. Was your game plan always just kind of let the dust settle and hope that you can pick off some horses late?
Yeah, I don't think I had a lot of options. If he gets to the front, it's usually not really quickly, and I feel like he doesn't have the respect that he deserves, and after this one, hopefully that changes.
You know, that flow wasn't really moving as quickly as maybe it appeared to, but your horse was certainly moving quickly in the lane. At what point did you realize you had a really good shot to get there?
I thought for sure I was going to at least be second, and he just never slowed down. He kept on digging.
All right, nice job, Scott.
Thank you.
Scott Zeron, the Money Man, gets it done again, and you just kind of have to shrug and go, of course he does. He finds a way to get it done in these big money races, these Grade 1 events, as Maximus Mickey is able to score in 148-1. You know, we didn't talk too much about this horse, but when Jamie spoke with Scott before the race, he kind of echoed a lot of those sentiments in that post-race interview. He had belief in this horse, and getting that chance to sit behind him in the elimination, he really knew what he had. coming into this final.
Yeah, and you look at his final half in the elimination. He paced the fastest final half of anyone in those eliminations. His individual time was 52-1. So you knew that if they set the table tonight with some big fractions, maybe didn't go quite as quick as they did last week. Last week in the elimination, a 146-4 winning mile was just too far to come to pick off that rival. Tonight they go in 48-1, and he's able to reach. And Scott had him in the right position to pick up all the pieces.
Scott's father, Rick Ziron, joining him out there in the winner's circle to celebrate this victory as the Cancelieres, Tom and John, are able to enjoy a little more success with these older pacers. They've done it before. Maximus Mickey wins the Canadian Pacing Derby. And what is, I still think, no doubt about it, a wide open group this year. When we get to the Breeders' Crown, it'll be interesting to see how many of these 10 are the ones that advance to the final. I think what this tells me, we saw 2 eliminations, 2 pretty good sized fields for those eliminations. I don't think that's going to slow down at all as we continue into the fall here now this year. I think you're going to see a lot of horse trainers with horses in this group think it's worth a shot. Maybe mine can step up and do what Maximus Mickey did.
You said it before the race that it was the type of race where almost everybody came in thinking, hey, we can win this thing, and it played out that way. And, it's going to leave these guys feeling that much more confident as the season wears on. Nobody intimidated the competition coming into the race, even though By the Missile paced that sparkling winning time in his elimination. Louis Philippois, left him out on that last turn. He couldn't clear and took him right on. And, it looked like he was maybe going to win it. But, again, Johnny on the spot, Scotty Z, and the money man delivers again.
Well, the photos continue over to our left as Scott Ziron hoists that Canadian Pacing Derby trophy in back-to-back years. And it's a $21 winner, Maximus Mickey. That was kind of the theme here tonight. Other than All-Star Maniac, our 5 races of coverage, you saw some pretty good returns across the board.
Another really nice win price. So a good night for the horse fan to watch these superstars. Great night for the horse players, too. So congratulations to those who tabbed Maximus Mickey, and that's a very generous win price. This horse was in terrific form, just needed the trip to unfold the right way, and tonight it did.
Well, Scott Ziron said he thought, at worst, I'm going to be second. Maybe I'm going to get up. And that's exactly what happened as Maximus Mickey, in the nick of time, nails a real game Irvin Hanover to win the Canadian Pacing Derby. A great, thrilling finish to that one. After in the Maple Leaf Trot, it wasn't necessarily as dramatic. It was more just one of those wow performances from Lexus Cody.
Yeah, exactly. So we thought it was, we were maybe going to see something similar with Irvin Hanover. He got away, but then those big fractions caught up to him in the late stages, and a big late rush from Maximus Mickey to get it done. And for Maximus Mickey, I think much like what we saw with Lexus Cody, this is the marquee win he needed. This is the race that's going to kind of put him on the map now in this older division, and he'll come into the next big dance as one of the headliners rather than just kind of a nice horse that's racing for a good check.
Absolutely. Well, we'll take one final look at that thrilling stretch drive from the Canadian Pacing Derby as into the lane after a big third quarter battle. Irvin Hanover had put away By the Missile, but check out Maximus Mickey on the far outside as he's going to come flying after him. They come down to the wire, 148-1, as it's Maximus Mickey winning the Grade 1 Canadian Pacing Derby. It was a fun evening here at Woodbine Mohawk Park, and as we mentioned, it's championship season. The Mohawk Million and Metro Pace are coming up on September 20th. We can't wait to bring you coverage of that. For Greg Blanchard, I'm Mark McKelvey, and for Jamie McDonald and the entire crew behind the scenes, we hope you enjoyed the action. We'll see you back soon in Primetime.